Hey everybody, you may hear Brandon back there. Hopefully, I won't have to get up and tend to him too much during the stream. He just, I guess I should take it as a sign that maybe he's feeling a little bit better because he's wanting to move around more. Well, TJ, I can stall because I got to do the daily grindhouse anyway. So yeah, you take all the time you need. Hey, Texas. Um, this will also give people a few minutes more to get in here. If I blab and carry on a little bit about some different things. Again, I have my new last drive-in shirt on. I thought, what the hey? I wore it last night, but I can wear it again because I basically now it's not like I've been wearing it all day. I just wear it for the stream. So uh I also may have to get up and grab myself something to eat as well because I don't know. I think, maybe it's part of this sinus infection or something that's been messing with my blood sugar. Usually a sickness will make your blood sugar go up, but in my case it sometimes goes down. So also the last couple of days I haven't been able to eat as well as I would like to because it's just been so busy at work. But I hope you guys like the deep dive I took into horror rock bands and horror movies. I hope you learned, a little bit about those bands, probably more than you wanted to know about some of those bands. I noticed that CK put a comment about 4 out of 5 doctors not recommended. But um, to each his own. Some people like some of the bands I talked about. Some of them. Some people like maybe a couple. Maybe they only like one. Um, oh well, thank you, Texas. I hope I look a little bit better than I did last night. It kind of comes and goes, the headaches and stuff like that. But oh, good. But I am glad that my um the appearance is better than last night. Well, I am so glad, Texas. You say I really enjoyed last night. It was a good show. Yeah, I want to do some more of those because there are some more bands, just like um, Uncle Bill mentioned White Sister, which totally slipped my mind, but was a band in Killer Party at the beginning of Killer Party. Um, and so, and we talked about 45 Grave last night, that while probably more well known than some of those that I talked about last night, is still worthy of me discussing. We just won't show any Dick Clark stuff, American Bandstand, or anything like that because I don't want my streams to get struck again. But I am glad you guys enjoyed it. It seemed like the discussion was very lively about different bands, so I was pleased to see that. I just hoped I wasn't boring anybody too much. And there's TJ, aka Mister of the Dark. So now that I see TJ back there, I think I'm going to do a real quick daily grindhouse, and then I'll get TJ added on to the stream. We'll start talking about these monsters episodes. So here we go with the intro, guys and gals. Okay. Hey, 71. I could see TJ back there grooving. One of these days he's gonna do that, and I'm just gonna add him real quick, and everybody can sing dance. Nah, he might get mad at me if I do that. He won't help me out with no more of these streams. Um, so, um, I know there are probably gonna be some moans and groans when I show what I got in today. Actually, Steve and I both got our copies of this in today. And this was something that Steve ordered by accident. He forgot that he told me to go ahead and order it, and then he would give me the money for it, therefore actually buying it for me. And he forgot that he mentioned that to me. And so I had already bought the copy, and he got another copy. He was like, "Oh wow, I bought this for you." And I'm like, Steve, that's not what we agreed upon. So now he has a copy of a movie on 4K that he's gonna have to offload somewhere because he doesn't like this movie at all. And that is, I've got my copy of Final Exam on 4K. David Gregory would think I was crazy. You know, here I am being the cardboard enthusiast here. But I mean, it came with a slip cover. I mean, you couldn't buy it with, without a slip cover. And this isn't a super astounding slip cover or anything. It's got Radish there after he's dispatched there. So the only thing I noticed, I haven't actually had a chance to put in the disc and see how the quality is. But something I noticed is evidently, unless they just didn't put it on the special features that were on the original copies, the Code Red edition and the Screen Factory edition that came out on Blu-ray, because all it says under special features on here is brand new 4K scan with color correction from the original 35 millimeter negative and a theatrical trailer. It doesn't say anything about those interviews they did with people like Cecile Baghdadi, who was like the main girl in this, the final girl, I guess you could say, in this, and Sherry Willis Birch and people like that. I think Joel Rice, who plays Radish, I think they did an interview with him as well, and there was also commentary. So perhaps it's one of those cases where, I'll actually put the Blu-ray or the 4K in, and those special features will be there. But I'll have to let you guys know about that later on after I watch it. So that's about all I have for the Daily Grindhouse. So this one was a short one. So, hey, X-Ray, you say slip covers are like crack cocaine to horror nerds. Texas, I guess he could return it, but since this is from Dark Force Entertainment, I don't know. That guy's a little off. I guess maybe it's the nice way to say that. So I don't know. I think he's just going to try to sell it and make a little money off of it. 71, TJ is indeed a dancing machine, but he was just doing all the dancing behind the scenes. Texas, you say Fade to Black has the Box Boys in it. Yeah, I'll have to go back and refresh myself on Fade to Black. All right, so let's go ahead and add TJ here. Hey, TJ.
Hi, gang. How's it going?
Or Mr. of the Dark.
Yeah.
So what? Let's see. We got Dawn of the Dead stuff on tonight, TJ.
Yep. Got my zombie. There's no more room in hell. Blah blah blah. Yada yada.
So where'd you get that one?
I got it at a convention years ago. There used to be a website that sold like all over hoodies and stuff. I can't remember the name of it, but then they stopped doing things online because they would go into conventions, and then COVID hit, and I don't know what happened to them, so I haven't looked them up, but I haven't seen them at any cons yet. So I mean,
Texas, I believe. Well, Banana Man was Bill Olsen, who passed away kind of recently. I think he'd have been in bad health for quite a while, but I believe I don't think the Dark Force Entertainment guy was his brother. The guy that runs Scorpion was Bill Olsen's brother. Um, I think this was just a business partner, friend, or whatever. The guy that runs Dark Force Entertainment. Uh, hey, Blissful. 71's wanting you to dance for everybody.
not unless I get tips.
You do the right dances, you might get tips, TJ.
That's not how it works. I get prepaid for my dancing.
Oh, prepaid. Okay.
Texas can send her a video of himself dancing.
There you go. Okay. So anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. And you know what? I'm really proud of myself this time, TJ.
No, why?
I got these episodes watched way ahead of time. Like usually I'm on the day of trying to finish up the last few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got them all watched prior to today. So I am proud of myself. How'd you do as far as rewatching?
Well, I mostly remembered 3, so I only had to watch 9. So, but I was watching them right up, and that's why I was late. I was watching the last. I was fast forwarding through the last one. And,
yeah. See,
so one of them I might not know as much about because I was like, oh, I can't get through this.
Well, that's okay. Maybe I can fill in a little bit since these seem to be all fresh in my mind right now. Um, so we're going to cover the first 12
Yep.
tonight. And the first one is the face with, oh, is her name Imogene Coca or something
Yep.
like that?
Yep.
She played Aunt Edna on the original National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yep. The one that dies and they tie her to the roof. Spoiler.
Exactly. So she is playing yet another kind of cantankerous old woman in this episode of Monsters. But I'm going to let TJ go ahead and get started talking about the episode first.
Yeah, it's a simple story. These two brothers who are thieves break into this old woman's house because she's rich, and they want to steal all her money. They threaten her. She dies, and one of them starts growing this weird thing on his back, and we come to see it's the woman slowly coming to life on the guy's back, and it's a pretty creepy episode. Imogen Coca's like a comedic actress. She was around for she was probably around, if not the vaudeville days, around at least after that time, maybe 30s, 40s, and she was on all those old time people shows, like all those comedy shows. I remember her as a kid watching this. Red Skelton did a cartoon special. He had a character, the Tramp, and he had a bunch of those old actors and comedians in the. It was like a HBO special or something like that, and it had like Vincent Price, and she was in it. And so this is more of a serious part for her. She's the crazy old lady who also does voiceover work in this episode too. So
yes, she does.
And I like this episode. It's very creepy. It's very surreal.
I think a lot of the episodes this time, with the exception of one, are pretty dark and creepy.
Yeah.
There's going
I'm
to
real
be
choppy
one
for some
though
reason. Why am I so choppy? Anyway,
that you look okay for
when I move, see how it's like.
a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I think I feel like I'm drunk.
uh,
Anyway, yeah. So
yeah. Uh, so I just wanted to bring up like the her face starts out like on the one guy's hand. It isn't that how it starts? Because she
oh, that's right. It's the ending. Well, there's a spoiler. The
spoiler.
other brother kills the other brother, and then on his back starts growing the old lady and him. Yeah, because she bites the guy's hand and infects it, and that's when because she's also a witch, obviously.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's right. I kind of skipped to the end. That's right.
Oh well, that's okay. I just
Oh
was
yeah,
sitting here thinking. I was like, okay, I know there was something to do with a hand in there, but yeah. So the one brother gets bit, but instead of getting rabies or something like that, he ends up growing this old woman's face on his hand, and it is a creepy episode. I will definitely agree with TJ on that because I mean, just the way the face slowly materializes on his hand. I mean, it starts out where it's kind of small and looks like I don't know when you pull taffy or something, it just kind of
yeah.
spread across his hand, and then it would get more and more pronounced as the episode went on. But I liked it. I thought this was. I, I'm I'm remembering too that again, once again, it hit me how much darker overall these episodes were than like Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Um, I guess they were maybe just trying a different thing, trying to put a different spin on it, or something like that. Um, so, it, did you want to bring up anything else about the face, TJ?
Well, it's interesting that this came out after Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
It's the whole hand being possessed and stuff. That's kind of
sure
like,
did.
interesting. Oh, the guy who directed it, Alan Coulter, he did a bunch of Sopranos episodes.
Okay.
He was a very busy TV director for a while.
Hmm.
He did Boardwalk Empire, a bunch of different shows. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's a good episode.
Blissful said, "Oh, that was creepy on the hand." Yep, it was. I mean, I think they may have been trying to be slightly comedic, but actually, I think Evil Dead 2 had more comedy in it than this episode of Monsters did. If truth be told about it. Um, which brings us to the second episode, which this one was extra creepy too. Not extra creepy or extra crispy, but extra creepy. Uh, and it starred Darren McGavin in it as
The old man from the Christmas Story.
yes,
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Kojak the Night Stalker, and also a small part in Happy Hell Night. So you guys go find a copy of Happy Hell Night, and you can see Darren McGavin in that.
He
Uh,
needed a new pair of shoes that day. He had to take that job.
he had to he had to be in this low budget horror movie from the early 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, but he seems like at first that he's just some kind of kindly old farmer because he's got his overalls and stuff on, and he's just kind of minding the store for this museum slash artist studio.
Mm.
So I'm going to turn it back over to TJ so he can give you guys some background on this episode.
Yeah, so Darren McGavin, he's sort of the caretaker. He's like the janitor of the this new gallery that just opened up. So this woman comes in with a guy, and he said, "Oh, he's an art expert, and she had been there before, and she wanted to introduce her friend to all these crazy exhibits. They're these weird kind of 3D paintings." We come to find out the guy is actually looking for his daughter who's been missing, and even though they were lying to the guy, he's very like, oh, well he wants to help them out, and let's see. As usual, I'm so prepared.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, also the janitor Darren McGavin, he's very into games. He wants to just play games, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And we see one of the paintings, and it looks like the guy's daughter, and he's like, "Oh, how is my So the guy who supposedly is the painter of these paintings isn't around. He travels. Supposedly was not around when the daughter was supposedly missing, but somehow this painting is here with her image on it. And then the woman who's helping him out finds another painting, and they both see it, and it's a missing guy who's also been missing. So there's two paintings of these missing people. It's a little suspicious. And when you have somebody in a TV show or movie who's like, I don't know what's going on, I'm new here, you're already this is not a show to watch if you've seen 1,000 horror movies and TV shows and stuff like that, because you pretty much can figure out what's going on. But you don't know exactly what's going on. So the two of them go off, and the woman's sort of left there alone, and she starts seeing some crazy stuff going on. Can't remember what the hell happened to her. I just watched this too.
I thought it was funny too that Darren McGavin's character, when they go to try to touch the paintings, he's like, "No, don't touch them." Something about that the artist used something like yogurt or something.
Yeah, it's like he used tapioca to bake the painting, and they're looking at him like, and the guy even says, "That wouldn't be able to stay up there. That makes no sense. Like the physical." Science about the way something like that would work. I don't think that stuff dries like paintings. But anyway, So the woman sees something weird about the painting of the daughter, and she goes up and she's kind of playing with it, and she sees that there's some hair sticking out because it's the actual hair. There's an actual person under that painting. So it's very House of Wax with Vincent Price. I'm going to guess that was too obvious a reference that it had to be a reference. Like that's what happens in the House of Wax. The woman touches the sculpture and she plays with it, and you can see it's real hair underneath the Carolyn Jones's dead bodies under the clay. So they come back and she's missing, and he's like, "Oh, she just probably went up do something." And she's like, "No, she wouldn't leave." Also, the guy's an ex-cop, or he's still a cop. I can't remember, because he has a cane too. So I mean, that doesn't mean he can't be a cop, but I mean, This is a very weird one. As weird as the paintings are, I think the design of the episode is sort of like when there's some lights flashing and some surreal time warpy stuff going on. Yeah, if you have a seizure disorder, this is not the episode.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to partake of this one if you suffer from that. Um, I thought Darren McGavin was great in the episode. I thought this was quite a bit of a different character for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very surreal. There were several surreal moments. It sort of reminded me of the Apprentice episode of Tales from the Dark Side, where the girl went to I guess it was like supposed to be people during the Salem witch trials, and she gets transported back to that time and stuff like that. But the whole thing where she was trying to escape sort of reminded me of certain scenes in this one where I won't go too much into it because I'll let TJ do the reveal, but there's something about gas that comes out of the walls and knocks people out and stuff, and that part of it is very, very surreal and kind of druggy feeling. But I think Darren McGavin was my favorite part of this episode. I mean, not that it was not a good episode, but he was the center point, I think, that moved this along. And I thought he did a really good job. And again, it was different from anything I had seen there, any other character that I'd seen him play. So I'm going to turn it back over to TJ though, so he can talk about the little twist or thing.
Well, there's some little things with his character too, where he's had an inhaler, which he seems to be periodically through the episode having trouble breathing and coughing. At first, I mean, I didn't remember the exact ending, but as I was watching, I was like, I wonder if he's like. It seems like every time he's sort of lying is when he's having trouble breathing. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, because why he can't breathe. There's an actual reason for that. So yeah, he as the guy is finding out what's going on, and he's getting too close to what's the truth. He gets knocked out with some gas from Darren McGavin's little inhaler thing. And he's sort of now he's basically trapped in the gallery. At one point, he has a crowbar to kind of open because these doors are these weird sealed doors, sliding doors, are not able to be opened. So he's got this sort of crowbar he's been carrying around, which he's going through different rooms. And he comes across the painting of his daughter, and he realizes that his daughter is behind the painting because he sees another painting with the friend who came in with him. She's now part of the exhibit. So that's what happened to her when they come back and she's gone. So he's trying to get his daughter out of the painting, and she's like, "No, Daddy, it's too late for me. You can't do anything about it." And he sort of rips the part of her out of it, which I guess she's dead, but not really.
Yeah, I didn't really get that whether there was a part of them that was still living, or it was a spirit, or what exactly was going on there.
Because we discover at the end he's an alien. He's because at one point they go by one of the paintings and it's just like a hollowed out body shape. It was obviously for the next victim. You think it's going to be for the guy. Well, it ends up being the Darren McGavin's in there, and he rips off his face to reveal this weird looking purple blue alien creature thing. So it's basically he's from another planet and brings humans or wherever he whatever planet he goes to. I'm going to guess that's what happened, because that's sort of like there's a Twilight Zone episode where a guy gets stranded on a. It's I think who's Roddy McDowell gets trapped on a planet, a different planet, and he's like the aliens put him in a cage, and he's sort of like a zoo exhibit. So this is sort of a version of that. Instead, it's not zoo; it's paintings, which I guess they're live humans in suspended animation, possibly. I'm gonna guess from the mist and stuff that sort of emanates from the structure and from the. I don't know if that's like a gas that's a sleeping gas or something like that. That's it's not really explained 100%. Like I said before, these are short episodes and you can't really.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do in 20 or so minutes.
But it's kind of the paintings are very creepy. It's like so far really creepy episodes in a row. This is a different, more psychedelic, which is funny because I think the director, he was a cinematographer or camera person on the movie Hair from 1979. So I think he's used to. He might have been, let's do some kind of like drug addled some kind of
a druggy throwback to the movies from like 60s and 70s.
He actually directed some Dark Side episodes. He directed your favorite episode, Case of the Stubborn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Jerry Smith. He had a different name.
Gotcha.
And he directed The False Prophet, which is one of your favorite and one of your least favorite.
Yeah, the False Prophet was okay, but
Ronnie Blakely, Academy Award nominee.
Man.
I always want to remind people like that when they go, she's a terrible actress. I'm like, well. Anyway, that's so everybody goes off into space. And it ends with Darren McGavin doing a voiceover with the guy sort of like trapped in a wall, very Carbonite, Han Solo looking type of situation.
If I saw some real artwork like that, I would be very, very suspicious of it. I mean, because I had never seen any artwork that even remotely resembled what you see in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been weird paintings, Salvador Dali and people like that, did some odd things, but never anything like that. So
yeah. Andy Warhol, very Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol, he did some bizarre things and unusual things and stuff like that. And even people will probably groan if I mention Yoko Ono, but she did performance art, but she did other types of art too. She
sang.
Yeah, some people would say I call that singing, but she did write a book years and years ago, Grapefruit, which I had read some of it, and some of it was interesting. I'm not saying I get every single thing she ever did, but some of the stuff she did, it made sense to me. It was unusual, but it made sense to me. We could get off on a whole thing on Yoko Ono. I don't think she's, that bad of a person. People make her out to be the dragon lady that broke up the Beatles, but that could have been that could have been any of the women they were with. That could have been Linda McCartney. I mean,
Barbara Bach.
Barbara Bach. I mean,
actually, she's the only one that I never heard did anything with Ringo, like to make him like go against.
No, I think Barbara Bach stayed out of that side of it. Well, I mean, she had her own career. She was an actress, so.
Yeah, did you see Caveman?
I did. Because
Shelley Long's in that.
Because Ringo was, I liked the different people in the Beatles for different reasons, but Ringo always seemed, I don't know if cuddly is the word, but I like drummers anyway. Generally, when I look at the different band members. And a lot of women back in the days when the Beatles were like extremely popular, a lot of women would go after Paul McCartney, obviously. Uh, some of them were drawn to John Lennon, and I
Mhm.
always thought John Lennon was like super, super creative. He was a fantastic songwriter and musician. We lost a great talent when that awful thing happened, but
Yeah.
um, and George Harrison was always very creative. He did a different, he took a different path a little bit than some of
You
the
learned to play that instrument,
the sitar. Wasn't that what it was?
something like, is that what I think it was called something? Was that sitar? I can't remember what.
Heck, I don't know. I thought that's what it was.
Texas, you're the music man. What the hell did they play?
Yeah, what's the instrument George Harrison learned to play?
And Ringo didn't get a lot of songs, but like with a little help from my friends is one of I like that. That's like one of my top. Maybe I don't know, 30 Beatles songs because I like a lot of Beatles songs. That's a really good song, and they're like, yeah, throw him a bone. I'm like, hey, that's a good song actually.
Yeah. I mean, and he did incredible like drum work. Like when they were doing the White Album, like he does I don't think that all of that is on the album, but if you listen to like outtakes of the White Album, he does an incredible drum solo at one time, and then uh, I think it's Ringo that screams out at the end of the session, "I got blisters on my fingers." So there's a ton of stuff uh, that I've watched over the years. Stuff about the making of the White Album,
Yeah.
stuff about Let It Be, Abbey Road, and stuff like that. And when they were playing on the rooftop of Apple, and the cops came up there and was telling them they had to get off the rooftop and all that. But anyway, I could have a whole stream on just the Beatles, I think. So I guess we'll move on to A Bond of Silk, which, yeah, this one freaking creeped me out. Cause
Yeah, if you don't like spiders, this isn't your episode.
yeah, if you don't like spiders, this is gonna freak you out. And I knew where it was going.
Yeah.
It didn't take long to figure out, oh my God, I know where this one is going. But I'm gonna let TJ talk about it first.
Yep. So there's this newlywed couple from somewhere in the South. I don't know where. Or he is. She's not. She doesn't have a Southern accent. He does, right? Doesn't Nash have a Southern accent? Yeah. Nash and Portia. Nash is played by Mark McClure, who people might know as Jimmy Olsen and all the Christopher Reeve Supermans
and also
Supergirl.
Here's a Beatles connection again. He was in I Want to Hold Your Hand, the movie.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he was. He was one of the guys that was had a thing for one of the girls that was gonna go to New York City to see the Beatles. Actually, it was Teresa Saldana, the actress that got attacked in real life, viciously attacked. But I think that Mark McClure's character was smitten with her in that movie, and he was like following them around, and he got drunk and stuff. But that's a fun movie. If you've never seen I Want to Hold Your Hand, I recommend it. But
she's in another episode of she's an episode of Tales from the Dark Side where she's spider-like, let's say.
Yes, she is. She certainly is.
But he's also Brother Dave in Back to the Futures.
Yes.
He's barely in it, but he's in every movie, I think. Even if he's not in it, like he's credited as being in it. I don't know if you get money for being credited.
Something else he was in that has a horror reference was After Midnight.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. I forgot. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yep, yep.
Sorry about that. Didn't want to step on
No,
your
no, no,
toes.
that's okay. I was gonna say, oh, it's a movie that you talked about not too long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's in the original Freaky Friday, and he was also in the remake playing basically the same character. If not, he has the same name. He's in the original. He's the next door neighbor, like delivery boy. And then in the one with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, he's also sort of the same
I
character.
remember watching the original Freaky Friday when I was a kid. I remember me and my cousin Heather watching that.
Yeah. Yeah, when they did those remakes, I'm like, they did like The Parent Trap. I don't like the remake. I like the original, and everybody only thinks, hey, the remake is the best movie ever. Like, is it?
Maybe we should have old Curly Jaws on here and ask him.
I do like what's her name who played Chessie. She's on the what the hell's her name? She's on that Abbott Elementary sitcom that's on. I don't know if you ever watched that. I don't think it's something. I don't think you would have watched. I don't think it's one of those. It's about. Yeah, I don't think it's inner city kids, but high school school, but it's like a school that's not really like they don't have a lot of money and stuff like that, and it's like a real life kind of look at a real life comedy look at what teachers have to go through and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Lee Ralph, she won like an Emmy for it, and it's like anyway.
I may have to see if I can find some episodes of it.
It's one of those without a laugh track, so
okay.
One of those newfangled sitcoms that don't have no laugh track. What's that all about? I don't know when to laugh if you don't tell me when. I just want to know her name. Wait a minute. She's Italian. I should know who she is. Lisa Ann Walter. That's her name. Okay. Yeah, she was. Yeah, that's the only thing I like about that movie is her. I'm like, all right, enough with the Lohan and Lohan.
Yeah, I think Lindsay Lohan is her time has come and gone.
It's funny she's in 2 Disney remakes.
Yeah.
She ruined, but no, she didn't. Anyway, back to Mark McClure. Yeah, we talked about him. And Portia's played by Lydia Connell, who was on that show Too Close for Comfort. I think that's her biggest thing.
Yeah.
She's blonde on that, so if she looks a lot different. She's still hot, but she looks a lot different with.
She's a very attractive woman.
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. I just burped. Okay. Anyway, so they come to this sort of motel, and it's their honeymoon. They're so they're very happy. So they're like, whatever we're just gonna stay there. And he thinks it's just great. Like I'm gonna guess he probably didn't leave his backyard too many times. As excited he is because he's pointing at things. He's like, "Isn't this cruel?" and stuff like that. I was like if there was like one of those change things where it shakes the bed, he would have been,
Yeah,
he would have
some coins in there.
He would have. She would have had to wait. Let me just say that for her honeymoon, honeymoon specialty, because he would have loved that.
I tell you what, though, I wouldn't have trusted this place. I would have turned around and went right back out. If Steve took me somewhere like that on our honeymoon, I'd say, you got to be freaking kidding me. I'm not staying here. This place is creepy.
Do you ever watch Married with Children? There was an episode where they go on, it was a 2-parter where they go on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this like country bumpkin, 2000 Maniacs type of weird ass place, and there's a killer there, and there's a great scene I love it where Al and Peggy are in bed, and Al's actually contemplating doing something with her, which he really does.
Yes.
And this knife comes up in the middle of the bed, and they both look at it and they go, ah! And then it cuts to the commercial, and that's the end of the first episode of the 2-part.
I have all the episodes. I just need to start getting them back out and rewatch them again, because there were some later episodes. I think maybe there were 2 or 3 episodes that Joe Bob was in. I think he played.
Yes, yeah,
I think he played Kelly's boss at one time.
probably.
Like he was like the exterminator or something like that.
Well, in that same episode, so this is when Christina Applegate's character had really, bleached white hair.
Oh yeah.
So one of the country bumpkins is like, that poor little white-haired girl, you'd think they'd throw some dye on it. Like, it is dyed. That's why it's white. Anyway, poor Christina Applegate. She has MS.
Yeah, I saw that. And
she stopped. She basically said, I'm not going to be on camera anymore. She might do, voice work, but right now she can't do. I was like, it's terrible.
I always loved her too. I mean, even when she was playing, when her character was introduced on Married with Children, they made her extra trashy. I mean that.
Yeah.
But she had
extra stupid.
Yeah, that too. But she has really great range because I'm trying to remember that sitcom she was on later on. What was the name of that sitcom? I really liked it too. And I can't even remember the name of it. You'd think I would remember it. Do you remember the sitcom, TJ? TJ's gonna look it up for me because it's gonna drive me crazy if I don't.
What? Yeah. Oh, she's in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. That's not the way.
Yeah, I love her in that. I love that movie anyway.
And she was in that Vacation, like, not reboot, but it was like the kids grown up. And I think she played like a Rusty's wife. I think something like I can't remember. She's Bad Moms. She's in that. She was on Broadway too. She did Sweet Charity. So she's I don't know what the.
I know I'm not dreaming this up. I know she was in
Samantha who? Was that you talking about? No, that's not. Jessie? No.
That might have been it.
Yeah, Jessie, she's what was that about? She's a single mother.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Trying to find love, blah blah blah. Yeah. And she played Rachel's other sister on Friends.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
She's in a few episodes. And what's her face from Legally Blonde played the other sister. What the hell's her name? You don't.
Yeah. But that's definitely got to be Jessie. That's the series that I.
Yeah, I remember that show. But anyway, so so this couple comes there and they no, I can't remember. Did they? Well, the husband gets trapped in sort of this pit that sort of. No, I remember now. No, wait, I remember. They're like, "Where's the bed?"
Yeah.
And there's sort of this hammock-looking thing.
Yeah, he thinks
in the ground. That's what it was, and it's white and very stringy looking. I wonder what it resembles something. I'm gonna have to look it up. No, so it's a giant spider web.
Yeah, and it's obvious. So, like when Mark McClure's character just kind of jumps on it, it's like.
And she's like, "Wait a minute, look at this. Are you paying attention here, dude?" I mean, she didn't say that, but that's basically what it's.
Yeah.
The thing that they say during the episode is, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Right. That comes back. That comes later in the episode at the end. So we see this giant spider, and he's there. They're there for dinner. She starts trying to get him out of it. She's trying to um, cut the strands, and she realizes, all right, how a spider works, what strands are the ones you won't stick to. Now, did you ever see the movie Krull?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a spider scene that really is like reminds me of this
Mm-hmm.
episode where this woman's in a tower in the spider web, and you got to get through the spider to get to the woman and whatever. So that kind of reminds me of because the spider kind of, because it's between stop motion and practical spider. The
Yeah,
stop motion kind of reminds me of that too. It's very stop motiony.
but it's still really
It's still
creepy,
creepy, yeah.
and I don't like spiders, so
Especially big giant ass ones who can eat you. Um,
oh, and it kind of like when they're a part in it where it kind of raises up a little bit, and it was just like,
yeah, it's like run into attack kind of. Yeah,
ugh. I was like, oh god, and you know what they did with this episode? I mean, it's only like a 21 or so minute episode, but they drug that thing out and made me so tense because I was like, when's the spider coming out? When's the
yeah.
spider coming out? You know, and then when
There's
it
an
got
elevator that comes up that the spider's on and then there gets released, and that's how it gets to its prey. Because she's trying to figure out how to get him off there, and she notices underneath the web there's all a bunch of clothes and jewelry, and then we see skeleton parts because obviously this has happened a lot because it's the whole bottom is just like covered with crap.
mhm.
And I forget, she uses a hairpin or something something
Well,
she had on her.
he broke at one time he broke the bottle of champagne, so she was
Is that,
using
oh, that's right. The cutting, she cut with the pieces of glass. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean,
but
there's a
like I, something that I was never sure of in this episode, and maybe TJ can help me out with this, is like who helped them get this place? I mean, because obviously this place was secluded. I mean, there were clothes in the closet from other honeymoon couples. There
yeah,
were
yeah.
other wedding dresses and stuff. I mean, the person or whoever that got them this place for their honeymoon. I mean, what are they? Are they a friend of the spider? Are they a spider themselves? Or is the spider? Can it change back and forth between a person and a spider? Um,
Maybe it's their pet, and that's how they feed it.
it's like,
We have a travel agent, see, and we feed our spider with the money we get the house and feed our spider with all the money.
because obviously nobody's coming and getting the jewelry.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not scooping it up and taking it with. Yeah, I mean, giant spider. I don't know. They could be aliens. They could be mad scientists. It could be, I don't know. It could be an interdimensional
But
crazy ass person.
any of the spider episodes in any of these television horror anthology series, even they can be the hokiest thing ever, and it still freaks me out because I point blank don't like spiders. So this one freaked me out. The Tales from the Dark Side episode, Black Widows, that one freaked me out. The I can't remember if this one, the elevator, I think it was called. That might have been was that a Twilight Zone from the 80s episode where the two brothers go to the building where their father, who's like a scientist or something, they ain't seen him in weeks, and they go to where he's doing all these experiments. He's trying to create some kind of food source that'll feed the masses, where they've got starving people. He's trying to create some kind of food product that'll feed a lot of people. But the brothers keep finding animals, dead animals that are way larger than they should be, like dogs and cats and different things. And
Yeah.
then they finally get up to the top and the elevator comes down and there's a giant spider in there. That episode freaked me out too, because at the very end, the brothers are like, ah, like that. It's a spider, and you see the legs and stuff. You don't even have to see all of it, and it freaks me out. But
We
that,
should do an arachnophobia watch along.
or Kingdom of the Spiders. And see, I love Kingdom of the Spiders. With William Shatner, I watch that, but all the time I'm watching it, it feels like something's crawling on my legs or crawling on my arm or something like that. And I'm just like, like this all the time. And I won't hold spiders. You know how some people will hold tarantulas and stuff?
Yeah.
You can hand me a snake, I'll hold a snake. I have a ball python as a pet. That doesn't bother me. Rats don't bother me. Lizards don't bother me. Cockroaches are nasty, but they don't scare me or anything. Mice don't scare me. I don't know what it is about spiders, but I just, ugh, can't stand them. So anyway, back to the
Giant spider.
So yeah, I like this episode, except it gave me the creepy crawlies watching it, and I was tense, wondering when the spider was going to show up, because I knew he was going to, he or she, whatever gender the spider was.
They.
Right. But I'm gonna turn it back over to TJ to like reveal I guess it's more of just like an ending than it is a twist, really.
So she's trying to get him out of there, and he's like, he's practically giving up at this point, and she's just trying her best because she doesn't want to lose her husband. But sorry, he gets killed by the giant spider. That's not the twist, but that happens.
And he gets wrapped up.
He gets wrapped up. Well, that's what the spiders do. They wrap you up, and then they suck the blood out of you. It's very Killer Clowns from Outer Space, where they wrap you up in cotton candy, and then they stick a curly straw in you, and then they.
Only I don't mind the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's fine. They're not spiders.
There's no killer spider from us.
Yeah. And sometimes I think real spiders, will save their prey for later. Like they'll wrap it up and like leave it in their web, and then later on.
It's for their kids sometimes, if they have for their children.
Mm-hmm.
They leave them off in the corner, and when the kids come out of her sack,
come out of the egg sack.
They eat some dinner, so yeah, they're going to be very hungry. She didn't want them to eat her, so she got to eat.
Have you ever seen those spiders that have the babies on their back? Ugh. And if you go to kill it, they all. Ugh. I haven't seen those very.
You don't like them, Texas. Anyway, so she realizes that she's going to get her ass out of there. So she's trying to figure out how to get by the spider, and she ends up getting to the elevator, and she's pretty smart. She tricks the thing getting under the elevator, and she presses the button, and the elevator comes down. At first, it's trying to grab her. You see the legs kind of trying to grab her, and then she hits the down button, and she just smashes the spider and crushes it. And you see the legs kind of, and she wins. And the last scene is her staring at her husband, and she's just like exhausted, and she's like, she says that line. She's like, "If it looks too good to be true, it probably is." That's the end of the episode. She's a widow before she's even married for a day.
Yeah, this I would like to say again, this is a very tense episode. I mean, like, it's tense from the time they get into the honeymoon suite till the very end. The only relief you get from this episode is the very beginning of it, where they're kissing, and then they have that little conversation. And then, but once they get in there where that damn spider web is at, all bets are off. I literally felt tense the
Yes.
majority of this episode. And I thought, oh, that damn spider is going to get her because it's been so long since I've seen this episode. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to get her. And she gets really strong towards the end. She says, if you want me, come get me, and it tries. And that's at the point where she uses the elevator to crush it.
Well, like I said, she's very smart. He's sort of the dumb.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you have these dumb country guys. Sorry about you people who live in the southern states, but he's sort of like she's like everything she sees. She's like, are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at? It's like, how are you not seeing the same thing? And it's just like,
how could somebody be that clueless? Is what I'm wondering.
Even when he's in the spider web, he's like, "No, hon, this ain't nothing going on here. Don't worry about it. We're just a little sticky here." Like he's like, it's fine.
And then he can't even get out of it, and he's still there for a while. He's trying to, give every explanation in the book about why he's stuck in this giant spider web, why this isn't a giant spider web. He keeps trying to calm her down, and she's like, something's not right here.
One of my thinking back to the episode, one of the funny things is she's in this negligee. It's sexy, but it's not too revealing because it's got to be long enough so when she's running around or moving around and stuff like that, like it doesn't fall down or pull up or whatever.
Right.
It's like, if it's just a little bit skimpier, they would have had a lot of trouble with I don't know, the censoring of the movie.
Yeah. But again, this show really got away with a lot of stuff. I mean,
there's more sexy stuff. There's really some sexy stuff.
Yes. And I was like rewatching these. I was like, holy cow, how'd they get away with this stuff? And when you're a kid growing up watching this stuff, you don't remember the sexy stuff. That comes later when upper teeth.
I remember that negligee. I remember it from the first time I saw it to now.
Well, I guess for girls it might be a little different. Guys, stuff starts sparking their interest early on. So, because Steve has told me things about like how he, saw these voluptuous women and stuff like that on movies at a young age, and I guess males are hormonal, I guess, even at an early age. I don't know because I've never been male. I can only guess how that is.
And I liked Lydia from Too Close for Comfort. I always liked her. She was my favorite daughter on the episode because she's the blonde, but she's not. They weren't like stupid. Yeah, it wasn't like Chrissy from Three's Company or
But I like Chrissy, bless her heart. I liked her too, though.
Yeah.
I thought Chrissy, actually, if we want to talk about Three's Company, I thought Chrissy was smarter than Terry. Remember Terry?
She was a nurse. How smart? She had to be smart enough, right?
Yeah, but she was always so la 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 la, and I just thought she was so. I liked Chrissy better. If I wanted to, and then there was, gosh, who was the was it Chrissy's cousin?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Why I'm blanking on her damn name. And I don't want to look it up because I need to remember this.
Me and CK are going to drive ourselves crazy trying to remember all this.
I know it was Jenny Lee Harrison was the actress. I can't remember what the hell. We're just gonna hold up the stream trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so I want to know. I know we're not talking about Three's Company technically.
Yes, we are, obviously.
Yeah, we got off on that, but so I want to know what people think. Like, out of the roommates that switched up because Janet, she was a staple.
Yeah.
Jack was a staple. But then
Well, they didn't ask for more money because their husband was forcing them to. That's why Chrissy left the show.
But I just am curious about who people or which girl people like better. Did they like Chrissy or did they like Terry or did they like Chrissy's cousin? Because I would say,
Whatever her name is.
yeah, whether. But I always like Chrissy. I guess because she was the original
Yeah.
one. And then another side question could be, which landlords did you like better? Did you like Mr.
Ropers.
Roper or did you like Mr. Furley?
I like the Ropers.
You like the Ropers better?
Yeah. I like Larry too.
Larry, yeah, the neighbor.
Jack's
What
friend.
about Lana? Remember Lana?
Yeah, she was on for a short time. Yeah, that was the big thing. Lana wanted Jack, but Mr. Furley wanted Lana, and Lana didn't want anything to do with Mr. Furley.
Exactly.
Ugh. Damn it! Now was forcing me to look her up, and I want to remember. Damn my memory.
We could have Trivial Pursuit night or something on these streams or something.
How can Cindy? Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking I'm stuck in the Southern thing. I'm trying to think. I thought she was like Bobby Joe or something like that. I was like,
oh, I got you.
That's why I could remember.
So
like, just said Cindy Lou. I should have said.
Yeah, exactly. Blissful says she liked Chrissy and the Ropers.
Yeah.
Best.
You know her actual name, the character's name was Christmas Snow.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
There's an episode where they're like, what? He's like, yeah, that's my father. Her father was like a preacher, so.
Remember that episode where they got all the money and they got in a fight because they thought that each one of them was like wasting the money, and Chrissy got that giant giraffe.
Yes. And then one of them was doing like a voice for the giraffe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Back to monsters.
Speaking of, well, like in Three's Company, the next episode is called Rerun.
Yes. Okay, so this episode was creepy too, and sort of had like I don't know, maybe a zombie / vampire element to it. But I tell you, the movie star, the actor, whatever you want to call him, was a bit of a douchebag. So,
oh, totally.
So yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to TJ to talk a little bit about this episode.
We got these two college friends, Allison and Matt. Matt, I don't know if anybody remembers my cousin Vinny. He was the not Ralph Macchio guy who was in jail for supposedly.
He looked familiar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking at him. I was like, "Oh my god, it's that guy." I think this was like maybe one of his earliest things, probably, because it was definitely before My Cousin Vinny.
I think though the one scene where he rips her poster. I know the guy in the poster is a douchebag, but if somebody came into my home or my room and ripped one of my posters, I'd knock them upside the head. Especially if it was a movie poster.
So the thing is, he really is into her, but she's not. She's friend zoning him, so she doesn't know really what's going on. So she's in love with this guy who's the poster. He's a TV actor from her favorite TV show or whatever it was. He's been dead for a year, but she's still pining for him because she had met him at one point, and he said something very sweet and lovely to her, and gave her his necklace. So yeah, Matt's a little jealous.
Weird necklace.
Yeah, it's weird, like horn squiggly thing, like snake or something like that. Oh, it's like a not a snake, but like a like a little, yeah, it's like a little slithery, snaky looking thing. Yeah, so he looks a little like James Dean, and like even like the poster is like something angel or something like that. So it's like a teen James Dean looking type of situation. Even though this is set in the 80s, but then again, the 80s was very like the 80s also had a very 50s tinge, like jeans and the hairstyles were slicked and loosed and all that stuff. So it seemed very 50s. Like the Ramones went from the 70s to the 80s, and they kept the same clothes
and the same hair.
That's it. Rebel Angel. Thank you, Blissful. That's
Rebel Angel.
So it was like very James Deany looking type. So it reminded me of like Rebel Without a Cause. That's what I was thinking of. If I remembered Rebel Without a Cause, I might have remembered that. But, so he rips you said he rips the poster, but he's sort of like frustrated that the girl he's like basically in love with is not seeing it, and he doesn't mean to rip the poster, but he does. But then but what you said, you get mad if you remember. Yeah. And she is mad. I mean,
yeah, but she doesn't like. I have a lot of. Well, not a lot, but I have several movie posters, and so does Steve. I can only imagine if like somebody ripped one of like. If somebody ripped my Evil Dead poster that I just had Sam Raimi sign,
yeah, I mean, of course,
I'd have to knock them upside the head.
You know how much it took to pay for the Sam Raimi meat in the first place, and then get to wait in line, and you son of a bitch.
Had to wait on the loading docks.
Yeah, really, waiting for the spider. Anyway, anyway, that's what reminded me of like a big, loading dock. Elevator thing, but anyway, we've done that episode. All right. So she's sort of fantasizing about if the guy was alive. Excuse me. If the guy was alive, I'd want to be with him. She's in love with him. Blah blah blah. And what happens? He actually comes back, and she's like, "I thought you were dead." And he's like, "No, I'm alive." And the boyfriend comes back. Not the boyfriend. He's a friend, and he's a boy. There's a discussion about something like that later. So so he brought her a new poster. So I mean, that was nice of her. Nice of him to.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have ripped it.
Place, and he's like shocked because he's like, "It's you. Why are you here? You're not alive. Why are you in the?"
And why they picked what he has to eat, he makes her go out and get him baby food.
Yeah, he wanted the turkey special turkey surprise, something like that. Turkey.
He had to get him something else.
And he wanted mini marshmallows because she gets him regular marshmallows, and he goes,
"They're too big.
I don't want the full-grown ones. I want the little baby ones." No, and yeah, because that's what it is. The marshmallows are babies and the adult marshmallow. So
I would probably tell him, what difference does it make? Just eat the damn marshmallows.
So he's trying to figure out what's going on. He finds the dude's agent, played by Kay Ballard, who she's passed away now, but she was like a comedic actress, and she was a singer back in the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody knows Martha Ray is. Martha Ray. She was another.
That name sounds familiar.
She was on the show Alice. She played Mel's mother.
Oh, okay.
And she did Paula Dent commercials.
I remember.
Wait, was she the one that did the Paula? Wait a minute. Now I'm gonna. Did she do Paula Dent? Well, yeah, it was Martha Ray who did the. You squirt the Paula Dent in your denture. Yeah. If you grew up watching TV in the late 70s and 80s, you saw her all over the place. She had the big giant smile. She was on. If you ever watched any of those Sid and Marty Krofft shows, the HR Puffin stuff and Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, she was on one of those. The Bugaloos, she was on that one. Anyway, yeah, so Kay Ballard's one of those type of people. So anyway, Matt goes to meet the agent, Faye. Yeah, her name's Faye. That's funny. Kay Ballard is named Faye. Faye. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds deliberate. That doesn't sound like an accident. Anyway, so she's the agent. And when I was watching, I was like, she looks familiar. I like this person. I know I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. Thank you, Texas. That was a weird show. All those Sid and Marty Krofft shows were very, they're all 70s, so it was very psychedelic. Yeah, maybe one day I want to. Old Curly Josh should find the box set and watch him on his special things he does when he watches things.
Somebody can get him to review them.
Yeah. If I try, I don't know if I could review like TV show. Like if I had gummies before I was watching these episodes, I don't think I could review them.
No, I think I might be scared by what I was watching if I had some gummies beforehand.
Yeah, have a gummy and watch Bond of Silk. That would be terrible.
Oh, holy cow. I'd be going, the spiders are coming to get me.
And for anybody watching this, I am talking about Haribo. Anyway, see, I got myself out of it. Anyway, so he's like, all right. So he's telling her about the. He's like, oh, you're because she was like, I guess his like, he was like a big thing, and that was like her biggest client was that dude. So him being alive, she's like not really shocked because she's like, oh, he did it, and he's like, and Matt's like, what do you mean he did it? So the guy has this book that she shows that he had, and it was called. Wait a minute, I wrote this down. Wait a minute. I thought I wrote it down. The book was called. Oh, wait a minute. I took photos. Wait a minute. The book was called "You Can Make It in Hell."
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we find out that the guy basically has sold his soul to the devil. And I like how she explains about the baby food and stuff like that. Because at one point the guy goes, why he eats the baby food is because if you don't have to chew, it makes you live longer and not age. If you don't really, which makes no sense, but sure. And then the agent mentions about the marshmallows because he thinks they're a vegetable. Like baby carrots and regular carrots, he thinks mushrooms. He thinks marshmallows are like that too. Like, okay, so this guy's not too bright. And earlier on in the episode, the girl Allison made a mention of when she met him that he said something to her, but she wouldn't tell Matt. And then Faye mentions that he would go around the girls and give them these necklaces and.
Yeah,
he didn't even ad lib, so we had to write a line for him to tell these girls. And the line we find out later because when he goes back to Allison and the dude Tony Sterling. I guess that's a famous actor name. I guess I could have come up with something better, but anyway.
Yeah, I think I could have too.
So yeah, he goes back and she said, it's like, oh, he doesn't really want you. He's using you because there's another scene too where Tony's looking in the mirror and these flames appear and it's his boss, the devil.
Yeah.
He doesn't say he's the devil, but we know it's the devil. So the boss is calling him and the boss is like, hey, I need another soul and you promised me your soul and, or you're going to have to come back. And he's like, no, I'll get you the soul. There's this girl I got, and I'm going to get her, and blah, blah, blah. And it's I'm laughing because it's funny. So the devil's on the other side. You don't see him, but you hear his voice, and he's like, I gotta go. I got another mirror. I got another call on another mirror. I gotta go.
I thought that was funny.
That was a great. Because this is a comedic episode mostly.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell, but the whole marshmallow thing is funny too. Oh, at the beginning, the two of the Matt and Allison are talking about not astrology, I guess, but like spirit animal type situations or something like that. Mm-hmm. Where, whatever that creature is your person, whatever that animal is your personality. So that's where well, that's kind of spoiling it with it. Well, anyway, I mean, yeah. So we're basically confronted with Tony, who's a creature from hell, basically, and Matt and Allison's sort of like very weak because it's sort of like a vampire thing because she's sort of drawn out. You see on her neck, there's sort of like a bruise.
Yeah, there's a big bruise.
Yeah, and as she's talking about Tony and stuff, she's covering it up, and But we already get this camera zoom in on it, so I mean, her covering up makes no sense.
I wonder if, like, maybe I'm reaching too much in this episode, but I wonder if some parts of it couldn't have been a metaphor for an abusive relationship. She's got the big bruise that she's trying to hide. He's making her go out and get him special food and stuff like that. It the more and more I thought about it, it sounded like, there was a little more going on.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely taking advantage of her and lying to her and using her. Also, it's very vampire too. I mean,
he's even got the vampire-like teeth.
They show him biting her neck. So I mean, we already know he's screwed up. I mean, that's not a big twist. I mean, we already know he's not a regular guy.
No.
Who came back from the dead.
But did you like the episode, TJ? Was that?
Yeah, it was cute.
Your top
episode? I mean, the ending's not cute, but it's like they're a little over. They're not too over the top, but they're very exaggerated. With Allison's like, oh, I loved him, and even Matt's like, well, you're my, like when he's talking to Faye, she's like, well, she's a girl, my girlfriend. Well, she's a girl friend, she's a girl who's a friend. I'm like, okay.
It's like, give it up, guy.
Yeah, but it's very like animated. It's not like straightforward, like type of like regular people, normal type of situation.
Right.
But it's a fun little episode. I mean.
It's a decent episode, which is going to bring us to the 5th episode. This is the episode that has a lot of sexy stuff in it, and I'm not lying. TJ will back me up on this one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The episode "Love Hurts," which has a voodoo slant to it as well. So. Yeah. I'm going to let TJ start talking about this one.
Oh, one more thing about the last episode. Sure. He turns into a giant eel. We forgot that part.
Yeah, I forgot too. Yeah.
So he's literally like a blood-sucking parasite. He starts. She starts ripping down. She realizes he's no good. And she starts like knocking down his like dolls and ripping down his poster. And every time she rips something or knocks something down, he starts getting like he's in pain. And then his face starts changing, and he gets fangs, and then he gets like this fishy type of face, and then he literally turns into an eel, like a giant eel head, and then it slowly turns into a regular eel, and then until he's dead and it's over, and like, so anyway, that was kind of the end of that episode, but yes, Love Hurts. Here we go. Okay. By the way, the episode being called a rerun, it's kind of like, yeah, I get he was on a TV show, but rerun? Couldn't they think of something else?
That was a sort of odd title.
So let's see.
This title's making me want to start singing Nazareth songs.
I don't know. Can we clear that? we
Probably not. Probably get my stream suspended for a few seconds or something.
Makes me want to grab a stripper pole and slowly dance around in slow motion and take my top off. And that's Halloween by Rob Zombie and with his wife. That's yes. She dances to this song. Because in a strip club you want to see a girl dancing to Love Hurts because that's a really exciting song. And she looks like she's very happy to be there. Anyway, yes. So, Love Hurts. We have Vance, who works at a DMV, I guess, with his father-in-law, who runs the place. And this woman, Jewel, comes in, and she wants to get her license renewed. And she's coming on to him very, very hard.
And he's caving really easily.
Oh, yeah.
He's not putting up any resistance to her at all.
Even though he's married to his wife, Cora, he's hitting on her. And Cora comes in, big. Is Cora pregnant? I can't remember. Was she pregnant? Yeah. Big pregnant Cora comes in. And he's like, she's like, is that your wife? He's like, yeah, but I'm still hitting on you. I don't care.
I don't care that my very pregnant wife just came in here.
Yeah. So they develop a relationship. But she realizes that, the wife's kind of not going to let this happen that easily. So she has a friend, Angie, I think. Yeah, Angie, her friend. She goes to her, and Angie's very New Orleans Bayou type of. Hey, what's the name of the spirit? She's like they pray to some it's their version of the devil. It's called. They have a certain name for it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, and I can't remember it. Dang.
The juju, some weird. Because she keeps referring to it, like it's sort of like the master that they pray to that gives them their power, and that See, if it was just a craft, I would know. That was Mena. That was a different story. That's a different thing. Craft is a totally different thing. So anyway, they cast a spell on the wife and the father-in-law, so they get sort of boils on their faces and arms. Mm-hmm. And the father-in-law he can't go to work because of it, so Vance has to take over for the day, and he's like, get in there and you gotta take care of things. And though he's still like he's iffy about his son-in-law being able to handle something like that. So that's the whole relationship with them, where he doesn't really. I don't think he hates his son-in-law, but he doesn't really trust him that much.
But also, I think the son-in-law. I think Vance hates him.
Vance definitely hates him. Yes.
I think the only person in this episode that Vance likes is the sexy woman that shows up at the.
Olivia Brown, who plays Jewel, she's been in a bunch of things. I remember her from Designing Women.
See, she's another one that I thought
she played Meshack Taylor's girlfriend for a few episodes.
Okay.
But yeah, she was in 48 Hours. That's what she was in.
Oh man.
She was Candy in 48 Hours. I don't know if you remember that. And she was also on Miami Vice. She was a detective.
See, believe it or not, I never watched Miami Vice.
Oh, really?
I think Steve did. I'm pretty sure Steve did. But for some odd reason,
wasn't he about 30 when that show came out?
I'm was telling you said that TJ.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
TJ was saying you were 30 when Miami Vice was.
He's not awake.
He's asleep right now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He doesn't know what we're talking about.
And she was in Lois and Clark. And Throw My Mom from the Train. I forgot about that one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So anyway, and she's very sexy in this. There's a lot of sexy going on. But she's wearing less than in Bond to Silk. So I mean,
yeah, there were times in some of these episodes, especially this one, where I thought, how much further are they going to go with this? Because you were seeing a lot of flesh. Now, it's not like you were seeing, breasts or anything like that, but, you were seeing her legs all the way up and down. I mean, they were not trying to hide that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
This was like soap opera sexy. Remember when the soap opera? Does anybody remember when the soap operas were? They went through they always have been sexy to some extent because that's why housewives want to watch them. But there was a time period, I believe, where they were extra sexy, where they were, showing a little more skin and stuff like that. And so this kind of reminded me of that time period with soap operas.
Mm-hmm. Was it then silk stockings start in like the 80s? Or was that the 90s?
Oh gosh. Can't remember.
Well, this is the late 80s too. It was probably closer to
late 80s.
I think things were starting to get a little bit more risque around that time. The clothes were getting skimpier than because early mid 80s everything's like shoulder pads and you got all these big shirts and sweaters and whatever.
I remember the shoulder pads. I hope that doesn't come back. I don't like those things.
Anyway, so old father-in-law catches them having sex in the at the office, which is the dumbest thing for him to do. But anyway, people never come in there. That makes no sense. Anyway,
nobody drives. Nobody has to come in there and get a license.
I guess not. Yeah. So he's like, you gotta tell your wife what's going on, or I will. And Jules not happy with this. Jules like, no, stay with me. Screw your wife but don't screw your wife. Anyway.
Yeah.
Forget about your wife and whatever, and just come with me. And it's like a whole like, he's got the money, and if the father-in-law's got money, and if he leaves, he doesn't get any of that money, and so he's going to break up with her. And then Jewel goes back to her friend, and then they cast a spell on the father-in-law. She's like, oh, we can just like do something to hurt him, and like, because it takes a lot to really, to kill somebody, and like just do something like light. And also the thing is her friend has like been doing magic for years and years, and Jewel is very new to it, and she's like, you got to do this slow, honey. You can't like jump into this stuff. But she's like, no, I want to do this stuff. And she's like, we can kill him if you help me. And she's like reluctantly, all right, fine, I'll help you, whatever. Because she's sort of like her teacher, so she's like, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. So they do this sort of ritual where the two of them there's a candle, there's a match in a jar, and the jar sort of, they're in there and they're casting a spell, and they're saying, take his breath, lose his breath, something like that. I forget what that was, something like that. And they keep repeating it over and over again until the match goes out, and then the guy dies, like on the kitchen floor of his daughter's house, which is very inconvenient for everybody. And I can stop drinking stuff that's making me burp. Anyway, I'm going to drink water next time. So he never told his wife, even though we find out later that, yeah, she knows he's having an affair. She's not an idiot. Um, and he's like, look, she's like, if you don't leave that woman for good, like I'm going to take everything and you're not going to get a single penny. You're not going to have this baby. You're not going to have any money. You know, you're screwed, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, tells Jewel to hit the road. Well, Jewel ain't having it. And Jewel gets her friend and is like, okay, I want to enslave this guy. I want him to be my lover forever. And she goes, well, you did it before with somebody else. And that's where she goes, well, I've been doing this for 15 years. You don't just cast a spell on somebody to control them off the bat like this. And she's like refusing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jules like, okay, sure, fine, we won't do it. And while she's sleeping, she pulls the match trick on her friend. And her friend's reaching, like she's crawling out, she's feeling it, she gets out of bed, but by the time it's too late, she's crawling for just as the match is going out, she gets right to the thing, and she's like, oh shit, I'm screwed. And then Jewel does the ritual to make him hers forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has to, what does she have to do? She has to remove his soul from his body. The soul has to come to her. She has to make love to the soul. Then she says some mumbo jumbo. She returns the soul to his body, and then he's hers forever. And she performed this ritual, but not the way she expects. And I'll stop right there, and we can finish after you talk about it. This is another good episode. The acting's pretty good. Though at this point, I'm like, leave the guy. Why are you still with him? You know he's cheating on you. He's a good-for-nothing jerk. Get rid of the guy.
I mean, she seems to be a pretty strong woman.
Yeah, all these, except for the last one, all these women have had pretty smart, strong wills, and it's like, what the hell? Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what was so special about Vance anyway? I mean,
he's okay, but I mean, jeez.
He wasn't like, God's gift to women or anything, and he wasn't, and he treated her like crap. So, why wouldn't you just want to,
Yeah, he hits her at one point, right? He slaps Jewel.
Yeah.
Well, that's when Jewel comes to confront him, and
he like
the wife and them are arguing, and he just like hauls off and gives her a giant smack. Even the wife's like,
and
she was shocked. And I'm like,
yeah, it's like, you get out of here, and it's like, dude, you're not a good person at all.
She should have left him after that. If she's just, I know, like I said, she was mad about obviously the affair, and that the woman, when Jewel comes there, she's like, you actually came to my house? What mistress does that? What is it?
Yeah, that was pretty ballsy on her part to just show up at the house,
But I mean, yeah, she should have chucked him before, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, all these women should have chucked him. Who needs you? Just, we'll go off together and have a day of shopping or something. Get this guy. But yeah, that was the only weak part of the episode, was the fact that you kept thinking, why do these women want this guy? He's a jerk. He cheats on his wife, his pregnant wife, which makes it even 10 times worse. Cheating's bad enough, but when you got, you get a woman pregnant and then you go and cheat on her with the first pretty woman that walks through the door. Yeah, not a good guy at all.
No.
And yeah, I don't understand why they seem to make, like TJ said, with the exception of the rerun episode, the women have seemed very strong and strong-willed, and not going to let, you know, the situation that they're put in just make or break them. They're going to come out on top in every case. But this one, it's like, what in the hell? What is going on here? Why are
Mm.
these women suddenly weak-willed like this? So that I didn't like. But the episode as a whole was good, and
Yeah.
I liked the voodoo aspect of it, and all of that. It was really an interesting episode overall. But I'm going to turn it back over to TJ. I'm feeling a little woozy. I'm going to have to go get me some sugar real quick. So I'm going to let him finish up with this episode. Be right back.
Okay. So yeah, so she does her voodoo ritual, and there's a nice little sex scene going on. So there's a lot of skin um, between the two of them. And meanwhile, he passes when his soul leaves, he passes out on the floor, and his wife is there, and she sees all this happening, and she calls 911. That's another thing too. She calls 911, but she dials O for the operator, and she goes, "Get me 911," and I'm like, "Bitch, two more numbers. You just go 911." Did people really go to the operator first to ask for 911? I guess that was an 80s thing. I don't know. Anyway, I had to stop during watching that for a second. I was like, what did she just do? Anyway, so she's calling for an ambulance because the guy's like, oh, check his pulse, see if he's breathing, and she thinks he's dead. And she calls, the hospital to come get him. Meanwhile, Jewel is with Vance, and she's telling his soul, all right, you go back to your body, and you'll come back to me, and whatever, at midnight, and we'll be together forever. So she's waiting. She looks at the clock. She sees it's past midnight. He hasn't showed up yet. Then she hears a noise, and you see him sort of shuffling outside her window. And he's like, your spell worked. I'm here. I'm going to be yours forever. But there's one issue. You remember, because earlier in the episode, it was brought up that he was an organ donor. Well, guess what happened? They don't wait too long. They as soon as you're on the slab, they start getting your organs ready.
They start harvesting your organs.
Yeah. So he's got like the sutures like covering his eye, where his eyes were sewn shut, and he can't really see what's going on, but we can see. And big chunks of his body are missing, like his spleen and his liver and his heart and whatever. And he says, "Well, I still have the important thing they haven't taken yet." You know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson. Anyway, Mr. Johnson. It's not Johnson. His name's Brown, but Mr. Brown's Johnson. Anyway, yeah. And he goes in for a kiss and an embrace, and she's mortified and shocked out of her mind, and it ends with him sort of trying to grope her and stuff like that. And
yeah, I'm not sure what he was trying to do at that point.
Yeah, he's like, I can't see, but yeah. So it's a very gory, gross ending, which I liked about that. It reminds me of the Tales from the Crypt episode, the one where I think it's another voodoo one where the guy's falls in love, or he's taking advantage of this rich woman, and she dies, and he brings her back, and she's slowly rotting during the episode, and at the end she's just like a skull with a dress on.
What was that Tales from the Dark Side? Not Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah.
With wasn't there one with like Andrew McCarthy or something, and one of the Hemingway sisters,
Mariel?
maybe. he was in love with her. I think they were in the same apartment building. And I thought that was an episode where she she died or something, but it was like she was under a spell and she kept coming back to him or wouldn't leave him alone at some point. Does anybody remember that episode?
I don't, but I looked it up. Yeah, Edwards. Yeah, he's in love with Mariel Hemingway and David Hemmings in it. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten he is in that.
And he does he gets a love potion, and yeah, I don't remember the episode, but
I need to go back and watch that.
But the one I was talking about was Till Death. That was the Tales from the Crypt episode. And I remember the comic, reading the comic version in a reprint. I wasn't around in 1956 to watch.
Right, yeah.
In a reprint of the Tales from the, I forget which, it might have been, because that was confusing too, because the Tales from the Crypt took from Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear, Crypt of Terror, so you weren't sure unless it said it on the, like in the opening title, I think it would say what comic it was from.
I used to have some of those reprints.
Yeah, I have a few of them in a box.
I love those.
But yeah, so it's a happy ending for, I don't know, the wife. She doesn't have a cheating husband anymore, and
yeah.
And the other girl has him forever, I guess.
But I don't think she wants him at this point.
And it's another, if it looks too good to be true, it definitely is.
Yeah. Don't mess around with voodoo too much. That's the lesson to be learned, especially if you're an apprentice voodoo woman. You don't want to try doing these spells too much. It could backfire on you.
Yeah, and if you get a conniving student, don't trust them to not kill you while you're sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, yeah, don't trust these youngins that are saying they're your friend, because they could turn on you. So another, very good episode. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it had some parts that were a little lighter, but for the most part, I think this was a dark episode. Which brings us to the farmer's daughter with soupy sales. Who remembers?
Can I preface that with saying, Soupy Sales is not funny in this at all.
No, he's not. He's not. But
he's not bad. He's not bad in it. It's just, you have Soupy Sales. Why wouldn't you put him in a more comedic?
Yeah,
it's not light, but the characters are lighter. It's like the old couple and stuff like that. And anyway, we're jumping ahead of the episode.
But I'm going to let TJ kick this off with this episode, talking about the farmer's daughter.
So we have Simple Ma and Pa, and they're in their little shack, and I think she's what the hell was she doing? He's whittling something, and she's doing, what is she doing?
She's not knitting or
but she's
anything like that.
Oh, she's peeling apples, is what she's doing.
Apples. Okay. Well, that was going to be my next guess. Was she's getting ready to cook something, or prepare.
And they're little tiny itty bitty pissant country place. I hate musicals, but I seem to know lyrics from songs from musicals for some reason. I don't know why. That's right, because it was a Dolly Parton movie, and Dolly Parton looked really good in that movie. That's why I watched. No, I remember the movie with Dolly Parton, the best little Can we say whorehouse? I guess we can. Little whorehouse in Texas? Yeah.
TJ's going to say whorehouse and it's going to get us banned off of YouTube forever.
I mean, I'm not showing certain movies that will get us kicked off. But,
No, Steve's got that corner taken. So
anyway, the guy who plays the Pa, George Hall, he looks familiar, but I don't really remember him from anything like specific. Like looking him up, he was in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, but I don't really remember that.
the old woman looks familiar to me too.
And it says he did voices in Courage the Cowardly Dog, but it just says voice, and I don't know who he did. Did he do Courage? I don't know who he did. Interesting. No, he couldn't have done Courage. He was too old to play Courage. Yeah. Anyway, so he's whittling and she's appling, and we hear sort of a crash outside, and we get a knock on the door, and it's this Soupy Sales plays this. He's this traveling salesman. So it sounds very familiar if you've seen stuff like this before. Traveling salesman, old couple, and they don't have a phone. They don't have a car, so they can't drive him anywhere. He can't call anywhere. So he's like, "Well, what am I going to do? I have no way of getting anywhere." They're like, "Well, you can't really stay here because we really have one." They're like showing the one bed with this little corner, and they're like, "It's barely big enough for me and Ma." But there's a daughter, Lucy, who we keep in the attic. And I think that's exactly what he says. We keep her in the attic.
Yeah, because there is a line. That's where we keep Lucy.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the world? Is she a person or a dog?
I mean, well, she ain't no dog, but anyway,
no. They show him. They show him pictures of her too. They're showing like old family pictures, and this guy's obviously not interested in their history until they get to the picture of Lucy, and then he's in love.
Yeah, they're sort of trying to sell her off.
Yeah.
Which watching it at first, like, and we hear that Pa hates traveling salesmen. He doesn't trust them. And like, oh, they're always trying to sell, be conniving and sell you stuff you don't need, and Soupy doesn't really try to sell them stuff.
No, he's just wanting to get out of there.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a bad guy at first, and so they're like, he's very enchanted by this beautiful girl in the pictures, and he's like, well, maybe I could sleep up there, and they're like, with our daughter,
but yet they.
Yeah,
especially Ma, she goes along pretty willingly because she says something about putting up a modesty sheet or modesty curtain.
Yeah. Well, first he's like, "Oh, I'll just sleep at the foot of the bed. She won't even know I'm there." Which I'm like, "Really? Okay." Yeah. We can tell he's a horn dog right away. So yeah, she's like, "We'll put up a modesty sheet." So I think it's more for Pa, so he'll be okay with the strange salesman.
I think he's more. For some reason, he's more suspicious than Ma is.
Yeah, I think it seems like she's trying to get her daughter married off at this point. And he seems like he's going for it, but he doesn't seem to be wanting to go for it with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea is okay with him, but he doesn't trust salesmen, so he's like, he just wants to get with my daughter. He doesn't want him,
I'm going to step away for a second.
Sure. Take care of that doggy. So, who has blue eyes? What are you talking about? Anyway, we're talking about Dune. Everybody had blue eyes in Dune. On the the Spice Planet. Anyway, I'm totally lost with the episode. Yeah, so he's up there in the bedroom with the daughter, and she's talking to him on the sheet, and we're seeing some silhouette. We're seeing, sexy silhouette. And she's very, like, her voice is very sweet and calm, and red is cool. It's a nice color. You mean the Jodie Foster movie, Contact? No, that's not what you're talking. Let's see. Yeah, so she's basically seducing his ass, and he's seducing her too. They're like on both sides. Because at a point earlier on, she's sort of like singing while she's up there, and it's like a siren calling to the guy downstairs. So, thinking it's a Monsters episode, maybe she's hypnotizing him, but it really isn't that. But, so yeah, and she's like, I don't want to show you what I look like. And he's like, show me what you look like, baby. Take down that. No, he's not like that. He's like, take down the sheet, Lucy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Please let me see you. And she's like, oh, I don't know. All right. And then she takes down the sheet, and she's pretty. She's not like everybody drop and kiss her feet. Pretty. I mean,
yeah, she's.
I don't want to like disparage her looks, but they're making her build up like she's like a beautiful goddess, and she's just like attractive. I mean,
Well, you know what was strange to me when Ma and Paul were showing the picture of her,
yeah,
as opposed to how she actually looks.
Yeah.
When Soupy Sales character sees her, it's like I almost thought, is that the same girl? I mean, the same woman. It looked a little different to me.
I post pictures and then video or different.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's touched up in photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like your glamour shots, because
yeah,
I know when I had some glamour shots done, but I know it's off topic, guys. But that's what it made when TJ said,
show them.
Nah, you guys don't want to see those. But I got those shots that they weren't like showing my boobs or anything, but they were shots like you show to your husband, or your
boudoir photos.
Yeah, those kind of photos.
Okay.
And so I had several of those done, and they touched up these photos. So
yes.
my legs in one of the photos, I was like, man, I wish my legs really did look like that without touch-ups. But there was, I'm not going to go into big detail, but there was a guy that used to be my friend on Facebook. He wasn't my friend in real life, thankfully, because this whole incident kind of freaked me out. But these were not skimpy pictures where I was showing, I was showing some leg, but I wasn't like showing my breasts or anything. So I had some of them on Facebook. And this guy messaged me at one time and basically, and this was after I was married to Steve, of course, private messaged me and said basically he wished we could have sex. And I'm like, whoa. Stop right there. Like, I was like, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I said, I'm a married woman, a happily married woman. And, and then soon after that, he like disappeared from Facebook. I don't know what happened to the guy, and I'm not this super sexy woman or pretty girl or anything like that. I'm just your average woman. And so I don't know if the guy was just lonely or what the deal was. Oh my God. Okay. That's a sign I'm talking too much. Go ahead, TJ.
Okay. Oh, 71. Anyway, yes. So, um, so he wants to have sex with her, but she's like, "I'll give you a kiss, but you can't touch me. But if I'll kiss you, but you have to promise yourself to me," is basically what she's saying. And but don't touch me. And he's like, "Oh no, I won't, I won't, I won't." So he kisses her, and it's a very awkward kiss because Soupy Sales is like 90 years old, and he's kissing this woman in her 20s, and I'm like, "Oh!" And it's like a big open mouth kiss. Anyway, but that has nothing to do with the episode. That was just my feelings. So they're kissing, and she seems okay with it, and then he touches her face, which she said, "Don't touch me," and he touches her face, and kind of takes a chunk of face off, and then he's sort of grabbing her by the arms, and takes some skin off of her arms. So she's a zombie, I guess. Because she's talking about, well, there are other men, and they said they wouldn't touch me, and they weren't playing the rules, and there was this one guy, but I liked him, but he just didn't do what I told him, and she sort of starts melting away as she's talking, and he's backing away from her, and he keeps trying to like be all schwammy with her and just like kind of take over the situation, and uses his selling skills. And then we see sort of like, so they're locked up in there, like they can't get out, and they're there's a point where, because we see there's in the floor there's like this little glass like design, and you could see through the floor. And so she's looking down at the beginning of the episode, then later on in the episode the parents are looking up before the gooey stuff the gooey stuff starts happening, and they're like, "Hey, you two, you really hit it off up there," and whatever. So like I said, Soupy Sales isn't funny in this, but it's sort of light until she starts like the girl starts bleeding and blood and stuff comes falling off her body. It's
almost
kind of
like she's a candle or something that's melting. That's what I thought of it like. But
so this little hatch opens up, and there's like lights coming from it. And you can hear this noise, and Lucy's like, "Oh yeah, well that's Pa set this up from like one of the last times this happened, so the guy couldn't get away." So there's like a thrasher there, and she's gonna like kind of push him in, or he's gonna fall into it or whatever, and he's saying to her, "No, I love you, and I want to be with you, and we're gonna get married. Like I said, I'm gonna keep my promise, like I said before, and we're gonna get married." And he turns her around, and she's slowly like backing into it, and then he pushes her into the thing, and then he thinks he's gotten away scot-free. And then, well, that's the twist of the episode. So if you want to say anything else before the dog
just said, I mean, I thought it was a little odd choice having Soupy Sales in this role. I don't know. I didn't dislike the episode, but something seemed very off with this episode the whole time, because it was like, first of all, why is Maul like? I mean, I guess she was trying to get her daughter married off.
Yeah.
But I don't know why she was so insistent, and then on the other hand, Paul was like very distrustful of nearly everybody, outsiders, I guess city folk, as he would think of them as. Um, and so, did they ever? I'm going to ask TJ this. Did they ever say what was wrong with Lucy? Why
No,
she was melting away or
not
whatever?
that I no. Like I said, they didn't say anything about her being dying or something like that. Or
Right. And I think I kept waiting for them to do some kind of reveal of why this was happening to her.
well, they say something at the end, but
But so I'll just turn it back over to TJ so he can tell you guys the twist.
so he thinks he's gotten rid of her. Well, he turns around and she's there, and she's looking like a skeleton basically, but it's like a disturbing. It sort of reminds me of the puppet creatures in like Life Force, if
Oh yeah.
because it's like a puppet, but it's supposed to be her, after being thrown into the thrasher and all the skin's off her body and it's bone. It's not bone, but it's like very like, um, yeah, it's like very translucent skin and bloody and whatever. And here's what the explanation is. I don't know if I guess she died, but it was under like some kind of circumstances with one of the men she was in love with. And until she finds true love, she has to keep finding a new person. And then I guess after the wrong person is killed,
Mm.
she has to. I guess she's reset, so she goes back to the way she is. And then if the guy does the right thing for her, she'll, I guess, either her curse is over or she can go back. She can go to heaven or whatever, or she can die in peace.
Yeah.
So that's if that what I just said makes sense. That's kind of what I got.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't know how I don't think I was very sleepy when I watched that episode. I just don't understand how I missed that because I that's one thing I kept thinking. Why is she this way? Did they,
Yeah,
But that's a perfectly good
yeah. Until she finds
explanation.
the right guy, she's going to keep going on and on as a dead. I guess she's dead. So I mean, yeah,
Right. So it's
yeah.
almost like it almost reminded me of that old urban legend about the guy that meets this girl and falls in love with her. Actually, this was done kind of like the woman was a farmer's daughter. Um, and gosh, what was that movie? Uh, Campfire Tales. I'm wanting to say it was Campfire Tales, and it was the segment where the guy that played Mark on Roseanne played this
Uh-huh.
guy on a motorcycle. I think he was on a motorcycle, and he something happened with his tire on his motorcycle or something, and he stopped at this house, and there was a beautiful girl there, and she kept warning him, if my father comes home and finds us together, it's gonna be bad. But I can't remember if this was exactly like the old urban legend or not. But she had a ribbon or something tied around her neck, and she did never want anybody to remove it. Um, and you guys know the old story, I'm sure. When the ribbon or whatever it is taken away from her neck, her head falls off. So I'm guessing that she was dead. She was a ghost. She was, something. I think in the movie, I think her father had went crazy and cut her up with an axe or did something to her, and that's um, why she was like that. 71
Yeah.
is kind of like my Barbie dolls. I don't know what you did with your Barbie dolls, but Mine, mine stayed all intact, so I never, tore their arms off or their legs off or heads or anything like that. But I did do some sadistic things as a kid because me and my cousin Heather, one time we took one of her sister's old dolls, like baby dolls,
Hmm.
and there was a fire burning out in the yard. I don't know if we had had a weenie roast or something, but anyway, it was still a little bit of flame. But we stuck a stick in the flame and got a flame on it and stuck it in the doll's eyes, and it like melted. And it's like, why do you do shit like that? Well, that's no. So you guys didn't do anything like that. Oh, Blissful says I melted my Barbie dolls in my easy bake oven. I never did that. And I had an easy bake oven too. Uh,
Wow.
71 ripped their heads off and one lost an arm. Okay, so maybe that's just something kids do. I don't know. Um,
Oh, by the way, one of the scenes in this episode reminded me of Hellraiser because he's in the main room, the bedroom, and then he goes into this back room and it's got chains and
oh yeah,
stuff hanging from the ceiling. And I was like, "Are we in Hellraiser all of a sudden? What's up?
yeah. Where the
Is the Cenobite's going to jump out and Julie is going to hit somebody in the head with a hammer? What's going on?"
Yeah, and there's going to be blood all over the place. Of course, I don't think they could have gotten as bloody on television as Hellraiser did. 71's an angel now, but she was an aggressive child.
Aw.
Well, I'm glad you turned over a new leaf, 71.
Oh, speaking of a lot of blood, now I'm totally getting off track for a second, but I watched The Outwaters the other day.
Mm.
I didn't love that movie. People were telling me it was really good, and I was like, okay. And maybe because I watched it at 2 a.m. and it's almost 2 hours, but I was watching it, and
maybe
I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, not feeling it, because I was doing a watch along taping, and I just couldn't even say anything about the movie because I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, this is a shitty watch along because I won't be able to edit this because it's nothing to talk about. In the end, I don't know if have you seen it?
What was it again, TJ?
The Outwaters is like a found footage movie. It came out within the year. It's on Screenbox.
I don't think I've seen that one. Steve may have though. I'll have to ask him about that.
Because I was excited for it. It's like they're in the desert. They're not in the woods, so it's a different kind of. But it's like it's 3 acts.
Uh-huh.
And the acts are like because it's found footage, so it's like card 1, like video card. So it's card 1, card 2, and card 3. So it's like a 3-act movie. And the first 2 acts is super not exciting.
Gotcha.
And it's like someone's video of their trip. It's like it's very beautiful. It's like beautiful shots and stuff like that. But it's like anything you could get with a 4K camera. Even though it was like a professional, like $3,000 camera they use, I found out. But I was like, yeah, I mean, beautiful shots, but like, there's nothing going on with the.
There's no substance.
No. And then the end is all this weird, crazy, psychedelic, weird crap. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who maybe want to watch the movie, but it's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting Blair Witch, but I didn't know what to expect. Maybe I should watch it again when I have a full night's sleep. Maybe I'll think about it differently, but yeah,
you might think worse of it if you're
maybe. Yeah.
So speaking of
Anyway.
watch-alongs, how did your Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 watch-alongs go?
That was fun. So the guy who sets it up, he does like a running commentary through it, and then we all chat in the chat. So we don't really like talk live, but
So technically, you had 3 watch-alongs that night because you were on mine.
Yeah.
And then you said, I'm going to do this later. And I was like, man, I got to hurry up and get TJ off of here, or he's just He's allowed to be asleep at the wheel for these other two.
I threw in some nice trivia, and I got a compliment at the end about, oh, that's a good piece of trivia. Thank you. And then I brought up the movie Intruder, and the guy's like, oh, I should check that movie out. Yeah, it's like, yes, it has.
Oh yeah,
It has all the Evil Dead people acting in it, and
exactly.
Of course, then it made me wish that somebody would get the Sleepaway Camp sequels and put it out on reissue it on Blu-ray or get it to 4K or something like that.
I
is
think
this the first one even in 4K yet?
No. If it was, I would have had it by now because I love those movies.
I mean, I don't even have the other two on DVD, so I mean,
I have all three of them on Blu-ray. I even got the new ones that came out, and then I have the original Red Cross. Before Red Cross said, you can't have that box.
Oh yeah, you should put that away. It might be worth something, especially if they never release the movies again.
Mm-hmm. Now Steve has a box set, or he did, but his isn't the Red Cross one like mine is. He got his later.
Yeah.
I got mine before Red Cross nixed that one.
They're like, what are you selling with our? Well, then again, they aren't the greatest people in either. But anyway,
we could go into a whole other thing.
I mean, they do a lot of good, but then they do a lot of crappy shit. So I mean,
yeah. It's like,
oh, by the way, I want to show off my.
Yeah, I was gonna, because I thought that's the Ladies of the Evil Dead there.
I didn't meet them, but my friend got me the autographs.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to meet them years ago. They were going to be at a local con, but Betsy Baker pulled out because she had some stuff going on, and I was like pissed off. So not at her, but just the situation. Right. And I was like, I don't even want to meet anybody now. And I didn't go to any of the convention. I think it was like one of the last conventions that was put out in my area too. So
I actually got to meet them several years ago, and they were all really, really nice. And I had them. I think they signed my Book of the Dead, first Evil Dead movie, in the latex stuff.
My buddy had gone to a convention, I think in California, and they were there, and they were doing like a Q&A, and they were doing like a contest, and they were like, sing the song that Teresa sings in the car at the beginning, and I was like, I know that song. If I was there, I would get that prize because I would have known the song. I would surely inform you that every night, don't you sleep on your ride. Do you know the story behind that song?
I don't think I do, TJ, or if I did, I have forgotten it.
Well, you should look it up. It was like written for a friend and his wife. I don't know if it was for like a wedding or something like that, but it was like a song for them as a couple, and then it ended up in this horror movie, and it's kind of funny.
That is funny.
But like, yeah, I do the words, damn it, if I was at that event, but that was a long time ago. So,
you know,
I stopped caring about that, but anyway.
I'm just sitting here was thinking while we were talking about Evil Dead type stuff, maybe I should do a watch along for the Evil Dead. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be showing the movie, so, you know, everybody will be watching it on their own, so I won't have to worry about it getting nixed.
For the first one, you don't want to do Evil Dead Rise? It's on digital, in a digital venue near you.
A digital venue, yeah.
I'm pointing. You can't see my hand because it's too low. Anyway, there you go.
But I'm thinking about doing like, I don't know. I always wanted to do like a double feature type of watch along, but I don't know. That might just go on way too long for most people, depending on what movies you pick. If you pick two really short movies, it might be all right.
Yeah.
Like Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. I don't think either one of those are very long movies.
No, they're not even 90 minutes, both of those. I think they're like 80 or something like that.
That's what I was thinking. But so anyway, before we get too far off topic, so we'll move to
Got the Fear after all the songs that we
episode number 7, just called Jar. That's just one word, Jar. And
Yeah,
this has Fritz Weaver.
Fritz Weaver.
Fritz Weaver returns.
Yeah, he loved doing this. I guess Rubenstein liked him a lot. I don't know.
I guess because I mean he's been in a lot of stuff related to Rubenstein and George Romero
Yeah,
and all those guys.
and a very young Gina Gershon.
Yes, looking very, very. I mean, that's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, I haven't seen her recently, but yeah, she was great looking for a long time. So
And
by now, I'm gonna guess she had a lot of surgery. I don't know.
and the guy, I can't. TJ may have to help me out with this. The guy that plays the private detective.
Oh yeah, Richard Edson.
Yeah, he's. I mean, would you call him a character actor?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's been in Howard the Duck. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and he usually has these really kind of quirky characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think he was a bad choice to play this private detective, but it was just a kind of strange, unusual
He's in
choice.
Three from Hell
Oh, that's
for all
right.
you Rob Zombie fans.
Yes, he is. And he's probably in a bunch of other stuff that I'm forgetting. But the two
Platoon. He was in Platoon.
platoon,
I
the
think everybody who was around that age, who was a young actor, who was male, was in Platoon. I'm gonna guess.
probably so. So I'm going to turn it over to TJ to talk about this episode a little bit.
So I want to start off with this is very in the film noir genre. Just the way people, especially Gina Gershon, I think she's in a totally different movie than the other cast members are because her character seems like it works, but it's just like she's super noir, and they're like he's noir-ish, like because the guy is Richard Edson plays this guy Jack, who's a private investigator, is looking for somebody, and he comes to Fritz Weaver's hotel motel. He's like he's not Norman Bates, but it's like you get a Norman Bates vibe from him, at least Norman Bates' grandfather.
Something a little off about that.
There's something off. Well, it's Fritz Weaver. I mean, there's always something off.
Yeah, Fritz Weaver is kind of like most characters I've seen him play. They're just kind of oddball types of characters.
Like the most normal I've seen him is the first half of The Crate. He's sort of normal.
Yeah, he's very professor-like, which of course that's the character he's playing.
Yeah, and by the end he's like, he's become Dawes Butler. He's doing voices and stuff.
But he's pretty much in the first part of The Crate, he's a womanizer, basically. He's another one of those professors after the young girls.
Mm-hmm. Well, even in Inside the Closet, he gives off like that kind of vibe. Even though that's totally not why he's weird in that episode, but
no, he's just weird in that episode.
Yeah. But yeah. So this is woman, and he's sort of into her, played by Gina Gershon, and she's just like she's a sophisticated, sexy, she's like rich person sexy. Because she has a rich husband who's sick, and he's older. He's not old. He's not as old as Fritz Weaver, but
he looks like a mobster.
Well, I didn't want to. I'm Italian. I don't want to call everybody who looks Italian mobsters. But,
I hope I didn't offend anybody, especially by saying that.
Oh, he was in the Grave Robber episode of Tales from the Dark Side. I forgot it.
Okay.
The one with the mummy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, I know. All right. Anyway. Oh God, he was in Police Academy 5. Ugh.
You don't like Police Academy 5?
No, I think that's where it sort of was hitting the low point.
Ain't that where they're in Florida?
Yeah, Miami was Miami Beach, whatever it was called. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I like the first couple.
Oh well, of course, yeah. I like the first couple, but I always liked that one. I like part 5.
Anyway, oh, I forgot the one who played Hook. She passed away like a little while ago.
Oh yeah,
She's my favorite character. I loved her.
yeah.
Too.
I like
You're squeaky, and then don't move, dirt bag. I love that. That was so good.
exactly.
Anyway, so yeah, she has a husband, but she's also hitting. Well, that's another. This is another one where they're both hitting on each other.
Uh-huh.
The Jack and Anne are sort of having this flirty thing going on. He's not trying. She's not trying to meet him to kill her husband. That's not happening. But so Fritz Weaver, his character, he jars stuff. He does pickles and preserves and whatnot. But his specialty is he has some special pickles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very special pickle.
Yeah. There's a point where there's a shot of when there's nobody in the frame except for the pickle jar and his movement. Reminds me of very Alien Egg type of vibe going on there. So we're basically learning about the people, Anne sort of fed up with her husband, and she sort of wants to move on, but he's rich and she doesn't want to lose her money, type of situation. But she's very into Jack, supposedly. Yeah, I mean, it's very, like I said, this is a very creepy episode. There's the whole thing about what's in the jar, but then what's going on with the film noir that's going on. I guess it's a mystery, sort of what's going on.
Did you get the feeling that Fritz Weaver didn't have a lot to do in this episode, though?
No, he just stands around and says a couple of creepy things. I mean,
exactly.
He's sort of the catalyst of everything that happens, but he's not he's not present in the whole episode.
I think everybody was too busy looking at Gina Gershon.
Well, we have another steamy sex scene.
Yes.
With Gina and Jack. Well, Gina and Richard, Anne and Jack, whatever you want to say. Yeah. Same difference. There's been a lot of love scenes. I'm glad the Soupy Salesman wasn't a love scene. That would have been very awkward.
Yeah, that would have been weird and cringy, probably. We find out that Anne does want to kill her husband. And that's when the jar comes into play. Mm-hmm. Seems there's not more than pickles in that jar. There's like I mentioned, alien. Well, there's an alien vibe because there's little creatures in there, and they basically, they just devour their host, I guess. Yeah, if they come out of those jars, they pretty much devour whatever.
So Anne gives her husband this jar of pickles, and he's like, she's like, "You haven't eaten anything all day, honey. You got to keep your strength up, because he's sick." I don't think he's dying, but he's very sick. So there's a scene where he has a conversation with Jack, sort of like he's like, "Oh, I know you want my wife, and I know what's going on in this situation, but he's not physically abusive to her, but I could tell that there's a moment where he's like, you just want me, I know why you're here, you just want my money and you don't care about me or whatever. And she's like, we have to, I know I've done some things wrong, but I think we could really work things out. And then she gives him a jar of pickles that basically kill him.
And I think the alien or creature, whatever kind of creature it is, sort of looks like a mini face hugger.
Yeah, it's a big alien vibe going through this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then we have a twist
Yes, we do.
that comes up.
Um, but before the twist, I just want to say that this was another episode that I enjoyed quite a bit. Um, I would have liked to have seen Fritz Weaver do more in this episode.
Yeah.
Besides, like TJ said, he basically stands around, says a couple of creepy things, and
Hi, I'm Fritz Weaver. Bye.
so it was almost like, and I don't think it's Fritz Weaver's fault. They probably told him, stand here, do this line, do what, whatever. They just didn't give him enough to do, but it almost seems like it was a phoned in performance. It's like you have to go back and think, was Fritz Weaver really in this episode? Because he's just not he's not
Yeah.
present that much. Um and TJ, do you notice that little smile that Fritz Weaver has in every role he plays? It's sort of creepy and maybe a little bit endearing at the same time because he seems like a old drunk uncle or something like that to me.
If you look up his IMDb profile, that's the photo. He's got a weird smile.
But he literally seems like somebody's old drunk uncle that's just kind of hanging around,
Yes.
And every once in a while somebody will pass by. Oh, that's you, Uncle Fritz, or whatever, How you doing? And then that's that. But
Yeah.
Gina Gershon is very stunning in this episode, and this is a woman saying this. She is very stunning and very sexy, and
She's hot, folks.
she is. She is. I ain't gonna lie. And guys will find a lot of eye candy from her, and she don't even have to get naked. Just that the whole sex scene, even though it doesn't. Again, this is television. You can't show everything, but they show just enough to, I would say, titillate the male audience.
If you wanted the good stuff, you had to go to Showtime and watch The Hitchhiker. Was it Showtime? I think it was HBO or whatever it was.
Was that what that was on?
That was like spooky, horror-esque anthology, but it was like,
Yeah.
it was a poor part, softcore horror movie porn is what it was. Yeah, it was.
Exactly. Or you might get a little bit more from something like Tales from the Crypt, or which was on HBO.
Yeah.
If you want the harder stuff, you gotta watch those kind of shows, because television was, like I said, they were gonna get away with just enough. They're gonna show just enough, and then kind of leave you begging for more, I guess.
Right.
But and I'm being honest, I don't really, that's not why I watch these episodes. I mean, I'm not watching them for sex. If I wanted to see sex, I'd be watching Skinamax or something like that, that they're going to show everything. So anyway, but good episode overall. I just wish Fritz Weaver had more to do in this episode, because I feel like he's a good actor, but I just feel like he was a little wasted in this episode. They put him in there, and then it was like, okay, you be background man in this episode. But other than that, overall, a decent episode. So I'm gonna let TJ give away spoil the ending for you there.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of points I want to point out. I love whenever Gina Gershon shows up. This is sexy sex music. So every time it's like, I was like, is Lisa Simpson in the back every 5 seconds? What is going on?
As if the watcher didn't realize how sexy Gina Gershon is.
Yeah, they needed that extra of audio cue for us to realize. And there's actually, I wrote down a couple of lines I really liked. Like, there's a point where she's like, where when she meets Jack at the beginning, and he's like, "Would you like a drink?" And she goes, "I don't drink. It makes me feel sorry for myself."
Yeah.
I was like, that's a great line. I love that line. It's not fun. It's funny thinking about it, but it's like that's a great line. And I think there's a point where she's talking about her husband, and she's like, "I planned it, I killed him, and I'm glad." And then this is saxophone music. I was like, wow, it's not supposed to be funny, but I was like, wow, this is.
And you kept expecting them to have sex again at that point or something.
Yeah. So anyway, and some cool effects. The George, the husband, gets like devoured by this creature that's just like slowly, like it sucks off. His head starts like caving in, and then you see like his skin fall off, and you just see his skeleton hands, and it's like, and it gets down to his shoes and everything. It's really like this gooey, messy stuff, which I was like, oh, it really elevated the episode. So if you weren't already into it, I think the ending really adds to it. And then we sort of have the ending where Fritz Weaver gives Jack a thing of pickles at one point, and him and Jack and Anne sort of, we're gonna work together now kind of situation, but you're like, you don't trust her.
Yeah, they don't trust each other. She doesn't trust him, and he doesn't trust her.
So he leaves, and she grabs the jar of pickles off the nightstand and kind of puts it into her purse, kind of like she's the only one in the room, but she kind of sneaks it into her purse. And then he's heading downstairs talking to Fritz Weaver, and he's like, how much for those pickles? You could really make a killing. And like, oh yeah, it's $300 plus shipping. And like, oh, I might have to call you if I need these again. And he grabs his jar of pickles, and they go off. And there's a point where she realizes that he has his own jar, and she kind of makes this weird face, like, oh shit.
Yeah,
but they kind of go off together. And then Fritz Weaver is just like left alone to his next group of people that are coming over, and she says to Fritz Weaver, she's like, just tell them that my husband went for a walk, and she's like, oh, my husband went for a walk, but I'm leaving and going back to wherever, and he goes, I'll tell them. Yeah. And he knows what happened because he set it all up basically.
Yeah.
So he's like the weird Mr. Rourke of this episode.
Exactly. And you get another one of those crafty, kind of strange looks from Fritz Weaver.
Yeah. That's a nice ending to the episode.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to the most comedic episode that we've talked about so far.
I love this episode. So fun.
I love the episode, but it's definitely doesn't try to be, in my opinion, it doesn't try to be scary in any way, shape, or form. And an episode that has Eddie Deason in it.
Yes.
Yeah, that, and Richard Mole.
Night Court in House.
Yes, exactly.
Big Ben in House.
Yep, he sure did. So when you've got those two actors in there, this episode is not going to be scary. I think House was probably a scarier movie than this episode was, to be honest. I am going to check on Reggie, who is outside, and I'm going to let TJ go ahead and get started with this episode.
Yep. So we have Arthur, who is a mild-mannered insurance salesman who only thinks about insurance, and his wife, his wife loves him, but she wishes he would have something like a hobby or something, more fun. She likes to go yoga classes and go out to drink. This isn't stated, but she's like one of those women. She's probably like wants to go to wine tastings and salsa dancing and that kind of stuff. This is the 80s. That's this thing they did back then. I think they still do wine tasting. I don't know about salsa dancing. I don't know if that's a now thing. Those kids, I heard those kids on TikTok talking about salsa dancing. It's like, hey, I'm cracking myself up. Anyway, yeah. So meanwhile, we have Richard Mall, who's this alien-looking creature with his big head with like a brain, and he's got glasses. He's trying to cast a spell to raise a demon, because if you raise a demon, you get one wish, because everybody knows that. And he's putting together a spell. He's a sorcerer, and so he's putting together, his spell. He's trying to get, tail of a monkey and heart of a dove, and eye of Newt and all that crap. And he's supposed to get this one thing, but he's like, "Oh, I don't have that. I got something else. I'll just substitute it. Whatever. It'll work." He's like, "It'll work." He's sort of this. He's got this weird voice, and I think I can't do the voice, but he's got this kind of weird voice, and there's a point where he's doing his potion. He starts like dancing and stuff. It's so he's so good in this.
Yeah,
what he's doing. I mean, he's creating a character. He's not like you're not learning much about this guy, but So he does his spell, and he conjures up Arthur, not a demon, but he keeps calling him Demon Arthur. He's like, "Well, Demon Arthur, you're supposed to give me one wish, right, Demon Arthur?" It's the way he says it all through the episode, like, Demon Arthur, Demon Arthur. And he's like, "I'm not a demon. I'm just an insurance salesman." And he's like, What? He doesn't even know what you're talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And he's like, "All right, I want some." What did he call it? Oh, I should have wrote that down. Did I write it down? He's looking for Drast.
Yeah, he tells him that he's got to go and get that for him.
I need, I want one wish, and I want Drast. I want all the Drast you can, in the world or whatever you can give me. And he's like, Drast? He doesn't even know what he's talking about. So he's like, "Well, I have to go back to where I came from to get the Drast." He's like, "All right, you can go do that, but I want you to come back." And
you're doing a pretty good job.
I think I'm doing more like Danhausen than I'm doing. Maybe Danhausen got his voice from Richard Mall's character.
Yeah, he must have watched this episode and said, "Hey, that's a cool voice. I'll use that."
If they ever have an AEW event in Boston and he's there, I gotta go meet him. Or he'll probably be at a local horror convention for all I know. He'd probably do those too.
I would think so, yeah.
Anyway.
Joe Bob had him on.
Yeah, which I had no idea what that made no sense. I think it was because he's doing a late night talk show. That was his theme.
Wes, people watch Monsters. He's telling us again, nobody watched Monsters. How about the Hitchhiker retrospective? We all grew up with those.
Is Hitchhiker on streaming or something?
I don't know.
I've only found random like YouTube, and they're usually like the USA Network edits with none of the blood or boobs.
I'll tell you what, Wes, if you can dig up all the episodes, maybe we can cover them. But I need to be able to watch all the episodes first.
No, let's get through this episode. Do they? Are they uncut, blissful, or are they
interesting?
I don't want to wait. I'm just like waiting for a response. So yeah. So it's like, yeah, all right. So I gotta go back to my place, and then they have another. So we have his what? Oh, really? Oh, I might have to watch those.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out too.
But those were our episodes. That's gonna take a while to watch all of those. We're gonna need a couple of months to do that one.
You're right.
6 seasons. Holy shit.
I didn't even know there were that many seasons.
I should download them quick because somebody's going to take them off YouTube. Somebody's got. Well, actually, if nobody cared by now, I don't think they'll care. Anyway, so yeah, so we have like 3 storylines going on right now. So we have, well, 2, I guess. We got Arturus, the sorcerer, and we have Arthur. And I kept reading the chat. Let's see. And then we have the wife sort of coming in and saying, "Let's do some fun stuff." But she comes back from doing her daily stuff that she wants the husband to be more involved in and stuff. So we got a couple of storylines like going back and forth there. So anyway, he goes, "All right, what's durst?" So he's dressed and he's looking it up and he goes, "Oh, it's gold." Mm-hmm. He's like, "Where am I going to get gold?" And then the demon calls him back and he's like, "No, I need more time," and blah blah blah. And then Arthur decides to call up his own demon so he can get a wish from that demon, so he can get the gold from that demon because he's not a demon. Well, he does the spell too. He substitutes something, and he gets the wrong thing, just like Richard Mall's character did. Oh, and there's a point where Arturus and Arthur are talking, and he's like realizing that their names sound familiar, and he's like, "Oh, this must be some kind of dimensional counterpart situation going on here."
Right.
But he's sort of like, forget that. He doesn't believe they did anything wrong. So he's just like, "No, you're going to get me some gold." And that's how it is. So Arthur conjures up his own demon. But guess what? He does the same thing that the other guy did. He conjures up another version of him. So that's what we're getting here. These are all parallel versions of themselves in different worlds or whatever.
I wish if I did tried to conjure something up, I'd get Eddie Deason. I think that would be pretty funny.
So he's this weird like demon. He's red and he's got like horns. He's like, oh, he looks like a devil, literally. But so when Arthur first sees him, he's like, "Oh, I did get a demon," but no, he's like, and then he's this scary demon. Then he has Eddie Deason's voice. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, who are you? What am I doing here? Oh, this must be some kind of pentagram." He says that because he bumps up against because the pentagram sort of he draws a pentagram, and the pentagram's like a force field around whoever they bring from the alternate world. Mm. So when he does Eddie Deason, he kind of just keeps bumping into it. It's like, boom, 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 boom. He's like, "Oh, this must be some kind of pentagram." Okay. And he's like, "My name is Arturo Gurnett." It's like, "Oh, another Arthur." He's like, I also sell insurance. And so he's like, "I'll try. I don't know if I can get you that gold, but I'll try." So he goes off and he gets the gold. And guess what he does? He conjures up Richard Mall. And at one point, Arthur is to him, "Well, I'll put you in a cage if you don't get me the dirt, get me the dressed." And he's like, "Oh, I'll get it." And then he comes back with Richard Mall, and he's like, "Oh, I got him in a cage." And it's like, "Oh, what I was going to do to you. That's cool." And then they become friends. I'm just going to spoil it. They become friends, and they start talking about insurance. And he's like, because Arthur's always wanted somebody to talk about insurance with. And he finally has a buddy to talk about insurance with. And then.
And all I could think of is insurance is so boring. I was like the wife.
Well, that's the thing when Richard Mall is in the thing and he's like, "Insurance," and it is like, "No."
I don't want to hear about this.
And then it ends with him screaming and trapped in the cage forever.
So not only did we have demons in this, well, actually,
we did.
Arthur wasn't a demon, but Eddie Deason's character, I guess, was kind of sort of supposed to be a demon. But Richard Mall's character was actually an alien.
Well, that's what it says. I think it's not specified because Arthur calls him an alien, but we don't know if they're parallel versions. They just might be a different version of Earth.
Gotcha.
I think, you know how when people write synopsis online and then you watch the movie and you're like, What are they talking
Yeah,
about?
exactly. It's like uh, House of Death or Death Screams. Like I know I've talked about this before, but the VHS tape that
Yeah.
I had from a long time ago, the plot synopsis on the back of that damn VHS tape tells you absolutely nothing about the movie. I don't know
Yeah.
who wrote it, but it was just very weird. Blissful's talking about German beer.
Schlitz?
She just says Germany has amazing beer.
I've never been there. I've had German beer. I've just never been to Germany to have beer there.
But I will say that I really, really enjoyed this episode. And after having so many pretty dark episodes, I think this was
Yeah.
refreshing. And you know, 8 episodes into this season, I think it was time for a lighter episode.
Sorry.
Wow.
I hit something by accident. Okay.
um, so I guess we'll move on to uh, the Reaper episode, which I
Ah.
really like this one too. And it's sort of, I don't know if reminded TJ of Bubba Hotep, but something about this
Ah.
reminded me of Bubba Hotep. Um, Only it wasn't a mummy, a soul sucking mummy that they were trying to battle, but the Grim
Yeah.
Reaper. And
Yep.
Barbara Billingsley is on this as a nurse in the nursing home.
Stewardess, I speak jive.
So, for those of, I guess, Leave It to Beaver fans, you will definitely, I guess, find this at least partially entertaining because you'll get to see Barbara Billingsley. So,
Ah.
I'm going to turn it over to TJ to talk a little bit about Reaper.
Yeah. So we're at an old folks' home, you know, where everything's fun and dandy and nobody's dying and too old. So we have Robert, who's this kind of rich guy who's stuck in a nursing home, played by played by George Wallace, who not the black comedian, the actor George Wallace. He was an actor too. But anyway, he was in I don't know. He did he was in a serial called he was in the Commander Cody serial. I don't know if you remember from the first season of Mystery Science Theater, they had serial shorts at the beginning of a lot of the
Oh,
episodes.
yeah.
And this was sort of, he was like the Rocketeer type of thing. We had like a helmet and he flew and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, so he's in this old folks home. It starts with the birthday of one of the residents she's like 103. She's been there forever, and she's like a granny that she looks like a granny that you wish if you had your granny you would look like that with the sunglasses, and she looks like she's down to party, and hey, I'm gonna have a few drinks and smoke a joint, and she seems like a fun granny. I don't know.
Yeah, she did seem like kind of a cool granny instead of just your traditional granny.
Yeah. So and we have this weird Dr. Morton. That'll come back later. His name will come back later. Anyway, yeah, and Barbara Billingsley plays Sheila, she's like the nurse who kind of like the one who I don't know, she doesn't run it, but she's like the friendly nurse that everybody likes and whatever. And Robert doesn't like her at first, but he sort of starts, getting he starts cooling towards her, and he starts liking her, and
I think he's just grouchy at first because he doesn't want to be in this nursing home.
Yeah. And he starts liking her more and more as the episode goes, and She's just like friendly. She doesn't like even seem to be like realizing that he's sort of falling for her. But yeah, well, he comes across Death, who is coming to take him, and Death makes a deal with him that if you give me 3 souls, I'll let you, you'll go on. And the Death is actually the doctor, Mort, as in mortician, mortuary, death, with Mort means mortis translates to death, right? Doesn't it? So that wasn't much of a surprise that he turns out to be a death. I want to say something about, he's sort of like he's a spooky specter, with the long cloak and the scythe and the bony hands. The makeup on the face, it looks like, when you buy the package of white makeup at the Halloween store and it says, it shows you make this monster face. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it does.
It loses me there for the monster, and I'm like, yeah, this must be where they used money for another episode that had better effects, and they took it away from this one.
They used it on the Jar episode or something.
Yeah, because I was like, "Ooh, this is Party City Halloween store makeup going on here." But like, okay, they try to make it look cool, like it's got this like fog over it, maybe, and it's like when you show it close up, I'm like, "Oh, see this package? I'm going to draw this face on me." And
yeah, it's sort of, I will admit, it's sort of cheesy.
I think Dick Smith had a vacation this week when they were making this episode.
Yeah, he was on vacation and he couldn't like supervise.
I mean, this isn't even like Pazuzu. When you see it in the Exorcist, where we show the Pazuzu, with the makeup face. I mean, that was spookier than this makeup. But anyway. So yeah, so he's like, he doesn't want to really kill people because he has to do it by his own hand. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. He can't just like point out somebody and Death takes him. He has to like do the job. So he I forget who's the first person he kills, a politician or somebody somebody he hears about. I can't remember who the guy.
I couldn't remember if it was that or like, because didn't something happen to one of the other nurses at one time? Maybe that's the second one.
That's second murder. Yeah, I mean, it's literally he kills somebody. But yeah, so he comes up with a brilliant idea because it has something to do with the person he picks has something to do with letters or something like that. So he poisons. It says something about the person who he's sending this stuff. He's sending some stuff to this person who does his own envelope. Something to do with envelopes. So he poisons the part you lick of the envelope.
Oh yeah. With
some poison he finds in the cleaning closet of the nursing home he's in.
I think I like this episode, but I think I may have been going in and out of it, and maybe that's why I missed that part.
Yeah. So he finds out the secretary died because she had, I guess, used the letters or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't want him to die, her to die. I wanted the guy to die." And he's like, "Well, I screwed up." So he still needs 2 more souls because the Death makes another appearance. The door opens and he points with his skeletal hand and he's like, with the dime store makeup on, and he's like, "All right, I got to kill somebody else." He finds out one of the nurses is allergic to hornets and bees, so he traps a hornet. And I don't remember this nurse doing anything to him. I guess he just picks her out of the blue because it's easy. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Maybe she did something to him, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't recall her doing anything specifically. And if I'm remembering correctly, I mean, maybe he was just acting this way so somebody didn't cast suspicion on him when they let him know that the nurse died. He
Yeah.
seems really shocked, like, "Oh no!"
Well, when the nurse, so he captures a wasp and he puts it in a piece of cake because his birthday's, I guess birthdays all the time in this nursing home. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't eat the cake because I knew you'd love the piece." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And she goes off. So and I guess she's gonna eat the cake that has the wasp in it, and she's gonna die. Well, she dies in a car accident, but she takes on a wife and a mother and 2 kids also.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "I didn't want them to die." So anyway, he expresses his love to Barbara Billingsley, and he's like, "I want to marry you." And she's not sure at first, but then she kind of decides, "Yeah, I want to be with you too," and whatever. And he's like, "I'm a rich man. I'll be able to take care of you, and even if something happens to me, you'll be fine," and whatever. So he's like, "Okay, well, death still needs a third person because even though 3 other people died, they're just like collateral damage. They don't really count to the 3 people he needs."
They're bonus. They're bonus death.
He says, like, Death says at the beginning, like, "I always like throw plagues and stuff to get a bunch of extra people just to throw them in there, you know, like, oh, that's nice of you, appreciate it." So Death, it's like, "All right, we need one more, and guess who it's gonna be?" But he goes, "I need one more," but he's like, "I'm not gonna kill Barbara Billingsley character because I'm in love with her." And he's like, "Well, she's gonna die anyways," but he's like, "Well, damn."
Yeah, because doesn't the Grim Reaper basically says her time's up or her number came up or something like that?
Yeah. So he's like, "All right, I'm going to get one more soul, but I want to exchange the soul for her, not for me." And he's like, "Okay, fine." So he to the old lady from the beginning of the episode who I liked so much. He's like, "All right, we're going to get her. I'll use her because she's old. She's lived her life." So he goes to.
She's 100 years old. Let's just her.
She's 103. So he goes to kill her, and guess what? She also made a deal with the Grim Reaper, and he goes, "Why do you think she made it to 103?"
And doesn't she have glowing eyes or something?
Yeah, he the glasses fall off, or he takes the glasses off, and she has glowing red eyes, and she's like an evil smile, and that's when he goes, "What? That's why she's lived so long, because she also made a deal with me." And his soul is for her, and he was Death kind of tricked him because Death was never gonna trade Barbara Billingsley for him or for another soul. And it ends with him dead, and I guess the lady's gonna live to be 104. Yeah. And I guess Barbara Billingsley is gonna die, so she's gone. And like, oh well, this is kind of a bummer ending, but sure.
Yeah, the ending is a bummer, but and the, as TJ said, the dime store Halloween shop makeup that is on the Grim Reaper. I don't know. Surely to goodness they could have done something better with that, even with less money. Yeah. But whatever. But overall, the episode is a decent episode, and I enjoyed it. I just hated that, like, I wish that somehow they could have made it where the old guy and Barbara Billingsley's character had been able to possibly get married or whatever, because and maybe, I don't know, the Grim Reaper got his other deaths, but he didn't have to, take either one of them out.
Well, he goes to his third point. He goes, "Well, you can't cheat death," and he says that at the end. It's like, well, but you let people try.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like, Final Destination, which would have been many years later. Literally, you can't cheat death, and if you do try, it's gonna come back to bite you in the
By the
end.
way, with that movie series, am I the only one that wishes they'd have an episode or a movie where they would explain why people are getting these premonitions? Is it death screwing around with people, or was there something that caused this? Or
Oh, that's a good question.
we never find out anything about. No one ever tries to figure out what caused them in the first place.
Because I mean, it couldn't be some good forces trying to warn them because death comes for them anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah, that's a good question, TJ. And unfortunately, I can't answer, but maybe somebody
yeah.
can.
Well, the writers have never brought it up, so I mean, of any of them. But then again, it's all about the big kill and then trying to figure out creative deaths. They don't really. The story is kind of at this point they don't care about stories anymore. Especially a new one being made. I don't know what that one's going to be about. I don't know if they're gonna
I
what
think
they're gonna go to a nursery and a hospital. What are they gonna do next? I mean,
so. How many of them are there now?
6.
Okay. So I think I might have tuned out after the second one. I watched the first two and then I was like, And then you're talking to a person that watched every one of the damn Friday the 13th movies. If that didn't
I
repeat
mean,
the same stuff over and over
we
again.
all did that.
But I guess I just can't do it with too many movies anymore. I went through the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Streets and all that, which is basically, the same thing over and over again. It might be a different environment, or later on, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger got one-liners, and became less dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We may never know the answer to that, TJ, about Final Destination, but that's a very good question.
Well, if you ever watch another one, I would watch 5. I think that's a pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, you can skip. What did you say? You saw the first 2. You can skip 3 and 4 and go right to 5. A lot of people like 3. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
3 is a roller coaster. So
it's like the Saw movies. I like the first Saw, but then I was like, after that, I was like, I don't know, it's just getting ridiculous. But they kept making money, of course, and that's
yeah.
why they kept making
For a while, Halloween was Saw means Saw.
Yes.
Saw-oween. Yes. Anyway.
So anyway, if we're gonna get through these episodes, I guess I better move on. Quit talking.
Let's go. We got 3 more to go. Let's go.
13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. So the Mandrake route, which I don't know about this one because at some points it tried to be sexy, and they even did have like a sexy scene in it.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work for me in that respect. And this was probably, I'd say, one of the weakest episodes for me that TJ and I have covered so far. But I'm gonna go ahead and let TJ talk about this one a little bit.
I liked it. So we have what the hell's her name? Oh. This was on December 10th, 2 days before my birthday. That's trivia about the movie, about the episode. Okay. Let's see. Where can I find? Here we go. Why am I not? Damn, that's funny. Oh, here we go. La da 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 da. On my way to where the air is. Oh, here we go. Sesame Street. Anyway, okay. So we have Angela, who's cleaning out her grandmother's house after she's passed away. She has her husband with her. He's gonna go on some kind of business trip.
Mm.
Angel is played by Melba Moore, and she's been around for a while. She's like
Oh,
a singer, actress. She was in the original Hair, the Broadway musical.
oh, we're
And
having these hair references, aren't we?
yeah, that's kind of a weird. I think she also was in the movie. She had a small part in the movie back in the. Well, that was like 10 years after, I think. Yeah, because the play was in 60 something, and then the movie came out in 79. She did one of the dog angels in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh.
But yeah, I can see what you're saying about the sex scenes because, we'll discuss one of the characters in a second. So she goes into the basement and she finds this sort of like little box, and she's like, "Oh, this must be." She's sort of talking to herself. She's like, "Oh, Grandma, this must be when this happened, and this is blah blah blah." And she's like, talking to herself, like she's talking to her grandmother, and like, So she's like, "Oh, this must be the thing. This must be the love letters because my mother didn't want me to read them." And she's like, "Ooh, this is a spooky ass cellar. No wonder why Grandma didn't want us to come down here. Looks kind of. It's a very spooky, dangerous looking cellar. I mean, I think Jess is in the corner stabbing her boyfriend that she told she didn't want to have the baby with. There you go, reference to Black Christmas. Thank you. So she she opens up. It's not love letters. It's some kind of prayer or some kind of spell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something about this is the dirt of a demon, and it'll be connected to your soul. Some kind of weird, something like that. Some kind of spell or whatever. And she kind of uncovers. I forget what it was covered with. She lifts this thing off that was covering some kind of plant that was just sticking out of the ground, and she goes to like go near it, and she like her hand. She hits her hand off of it, and it bleeds, and it cuts her hand, and she bleeds on the thing, and she's like, "Gee, I didn't expect to come down here and like get tetanus or whatever," and she said something like that. She didn't say tetanus because you don't get tetanus from a plant. Anyway,
I don't know. What would you get from a plant? A rash or something?
maybe what do plants give you? Oh, there's one line I like. So she's saying goodbye to her husband, and he's like, "When I get back, how many scoops of coffee am I supposed to put in the coffee maker?" And she's like, "Just order out."
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So she cuts her hand, and then this root in the another because that's part of the title. This root sort of starts growing. It's very Seymour. The blood makes it grow, and it's got this weird, I don't know, face or something on it when it kind of unfurls and sticks up. So she comes down to the basement again, and she sort of, I guess she falls or something like that, or she finds something on the ground, one of those things, and she's following the root, and it's like longer and longer, but then it goes upwards, but it's not a plant, it's a leg. And then there's another leg, and there's this like it's grown into a dude. So
exactly.
This like he's sort of not a satyr, but like satyr, whatever you call that thing, with the half man, half whatever, like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that kind of thing. That's what it kind of reminds me of, like one of those, whatever the hell the creature's called. So yeah, it's grown into this dude, and he tells her that I used to belong to your grandmother or something like that, because she grew me out of the ground like you did or whatever, and trying to describe what the hell happened in this episode. She starts falling for it. Like she seems really in love with her husband. All of a sudden, she's sort of fallen in love with this
I know.
half man, half plant creature guy.
I mean, could it be that he's like hypnotizing her somehow? Because
Maybe it's not really specified.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just like because she's turned on by him, and she's maybe he's sort of I guess that's it. He's sort of not intentionally hypnotizing her, but something about him existing has some kind of draw to her for her or something.
I didn't feel like this
because they do it
creature or whatever. I didn't feel like he was a good character, and you know the husband was okay, but this guy, the root, Mr.
Well, he's a conniving demon trying to tempt her. He's tempting her with his looks and with his words and whatever. He's like Cyrano and the good-looking guy made into one person. So he woos her all right. He woos her into bed. Maybe that's why you're sort of turned off by the sex scene, because it's like he's part plant and part
mean, it's bizarre. It's not like the other love scenes in the other episodes.
And she's pretty. She's attractive too. So it's not like like her husband's okay, but he's a little schlubby. Like I think she could have done better. I think her and the Mandrake dude sort of fit better. But if he wasn't an evil demon, I think it would work better.
Right, exactly. but I think her husband cares about her.
Oh yeah, they're in love. That's the whole thing with. I guess he hypnotizes her because to her so fast fall for him. It's like
and allow him to like take blood from her. That
Yeah. So he needs blood to survive, and he said earlier that him and the grandmother were an item. Well, her husband, she basically used him to feed the Mandrake root because he needs a constant life supply of his life juice, whatever. So it was basically saying that he was slowly taking the blood from the I guess was it her lover or was it her husband? I can't remember if the grandmother's. I guess it was the husband. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say so because the root guy, he was sort of like the lover.
Yeah. So, and she's like, well, I don't want to, she's like, you have to sacrifice somebody to me. And she's like, she doesn't really want to do that. So that's what the whole thing about hypnotize. He can hypnotize her to forget about her husband and have sex with him, but not hypnotize her to kill people. The picking and choosing.
The force must not be strong in him or something. I don't know.
He has specific force powers. He doesn't have them all. He's like Leia. She can fly through the air in the vacuum of space, but
maybe he's still considered like a young root, and he's got to grow into his powers or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We can speculate all we want.
Yeah.
So the realtor comes over. Mm-hmm. She had called earlier. She's like, "Oh, hi, honey. I'm gonna come over and we're gonna talk about selling the house." And she's very like the nanny. Like her voice is very like.
Yeah.
So anyway, the woman decides to. I can't remember her name. I'm gonna have to look that up. Maud. This is Maud. She's like, Maud, I'm gonna come over and we can talk about the house. Yeah, okay. So Maud comes over and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come down," and it's like, "I'm gonna come. Oh, where are you? In the basement? I'm gonna come down and we're gonna blah blah blah." And Angela's sort of like standoffish, and she's like, she's not saying get out of the cellar, but she's not saying come over here. But the woman just walks over and she gets basically all the blood gets sucked out of her by the Mandrake root, and she's just on the ground like shaking, because she's dead.
So evidently, the realtor woman must not be the Mandrake Roots type or something. Because
Well, he says that's just like a, a, a stipend. I need, like I said earlier, I need a source, a long term source. And she's like, "Oh, that means my husband." And he's like, "Damn right, lady." And
but she's not willing to give up her
she
house.
doesn't want to do it, but she's looks like she might be tempted to do it because he finally comes home.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, do you have anything else to say before we get to the end of it? I mean, we've been talking through it, so I mean,
Um, no, not really. I think I
okay.
said all I had to say about it.
So we think that she's going to sacrifice her husband to the root. Huh, he's the root of all evil. That's funny. That's good.
There you go.
That's not in the episode, but that's a good. And
That could be an alternate title of this episode.
and maybe she fell for him so fast because he had a. I'm not. Never mind. I was going to say big root, but that doesn't make sense. Anyway,
Well, Blissful was saying she had so many root jokes going through her mind right now, but I'm behaving.
he knows what we didn't see in the Evil Dead. He's the one that actually in the Cheryl scene. It was this guy. Anyway,
In the tree rape scene.
So Jack gets sort of chained up, and we think that the guy's gonna start sucking his blood for whatever. I don't know how long a body lasts, and he's like, "Oh, this will last a while." I don't know how long that's gonna be, but she decides, "No, I'm not going through with it." So she what does she get? A sword, a knife? What does she get? I can't remember what she found.
It may have been a knife. I'm just I can't remember right now.
Did I? Is this an episode? I think this was one of the episodes I was rushing through, so I don't think I got like
Well, this one I think
a photo of it.
I think I might have dozed off maybe a couple of times.
Oh, here we go.
Where you fall asleep real quick and you jerk awake a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. She uses some sharp object to sever the. She cuts off his manhood. She severs his manhood, and he slowly sort of withers away and dies.
See, that's what happens if you remove the manhood from the man. He shrivels up
Yes.
and dies.
Except in Last House by the Left, they keep coming back.
Yeah.
So she's she kills the Mandrake dude, and he slumps over dead because he's I guess he has to stay connected to the root forever. I guess I don't know. I guess you bring people to him. I guess that's how it works. Yeah, and Angel and Jack they got to figure out what to do with the dead body in the basement. But other than that, their marriage is fine. We're gonna forget about the cheating because he was a demon. It didn't count. So
Yeah, that doesn't count. You can cheat with demons.
So it wasn't a bad episode. I liked it. I liked the people in it acting. Yeah, like the guy who played the Mandrake, he sort of he was like trying to be poetic and stuff like that. And so I wish he was more of a demon. Would have been cooler.
Seemed part poetic and part. There seemed to be a darker side to him too, like a streetwise. I don't want to say a thug, but a streetwise tough guy or something. Did you get that?
Yeah, a little bit.
When he would be poetic and then he would. It was
When he
almost
was sort of being mean, his like darker side came out.
yeah,
So, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And you could see his face kind of change a little bit when he was like that. So I guess we'll move on to episode 11, which has, believe it or not, Leif Garrett in a very, I'm going to say, unusual role for him. Because
Yeah.
he still wasn't that old at this point in time. Um, if anybody remembers his character from cheerleader camp, uh, you'll know that he wasn't that old. So he
Mhm.
wasn't that old in this episode either, but he's playing an old guy, so they probably spent a lot of money putting makeup on him. I still
You could
knew
tell it was a standard Dick Smith old age makeup thing going on.
exactly, and you could still tell it was Leif Garrett because as soon as he showed up, I was like, "Yeah, that's him." I know he
And you
looks.
could tell it's a young guy who looks old when he's not really old. I'm like, yeah, it's not. It's a good for a TV show, but like, yeah. But then again, if you look at Dick Smith, he did Dark Shadows in the late '60s, and there was a couple of um,
Well, and then the
and he did old age makeup, but he made them look really like old age people. I mean, you could still tell because it was early days, especially as him being the special effects guy. But I think it was better because it looked more like not the latex didn't look real, but like it looked more like a face would look if you got older and things changed.
seemed like
This one looked like Relief Garrett just with some wrinkles and some weird.
yeah,
shit going.
like Max von Sydow in The Exorcist. I think he was what about 40, early 40s in The
Yeah.
Exorcist, but they made him look much older.
And that was subtle.
Yeah, that was
That was subtle and good. This is drastic and not great.
yeah, exactly.
But Dick Smith's not alive anymore, so I'm not defending him. So
Yeah, I told the story about Dick Smith, so I'm not going to tell it again right now because we got to get through the remaining episodes. But I'll tell it again sometime for those
okie
people
dokie.
that have not heard my Dick Smith story. So I'm going to let TJ talk about Half as Old as Time.
Yeah, this wasn't my favorite episode.
This was a weak episode too.
Yeah, the episode before it was 10 times better than this episode. I didn't like where it went, and I didn't. Also, there's not much of a monster. There's a statue.
Yeah.
I guess man is the real. This is one of those episodes. Man is the real monster in this situation. Which big spoiler. Anyway, so Leif Garrett's this really old dude, and his daughter comes. He finds his daughter, who's somewhere in the desert. I think she's archaeologist, maybe, or she's a.
I think so. Yeah, something like that.
So he comes to find her. He's like, "I found the fountain of youth. I need you to come with me." And we've had an estranged relationship, and I want to come back and, be back in your life and whatever. And she sort of doesn't believe him at first, but she's like, okay, we'll maybe he's trying. And we go to this temple or whatever, and there's this guy, Native American dude. Was it indigenous people now, or is it this? Can you call them both? I can't remember anymore.
I don't know.
Anyway, I know Indians is the wrong word. You can't do that anymore.
I probably say things the wrong way all the time, and I don't mean to.
Anyway, it was it an actual? Because usually, especially in the '80s, and if you watch all those cowboy movies, none of the Native Americans are Native Americans. There's some white guy with really bad. And it's funny when it's like a person like when Clint, yeah, I don't know, when it's somebody from now, like an older actor, and you see them and they're like, oh, why are they in that really bad reddish makeup? It's really weird.
Right.
But yeah. Well, this guy must have been a real Native American because he did a voice in some cartoon. He did another alien, another demon creature. All right, anyway, I'm just going to stop looking up these people's names. So he's and it's like this weird snake statue, and there's sort of this pond, and then there's sort of like this other human statue sort of leaning down near the pond. We find out this is the water, and it's the fountain of youth, basically, and Leif Garrett's character, old man, drinks from it, and he turns young, and he's so excited, and
he gets so excited he's gonna start singing. No, not really. But anyways,
the hills are alive with the blah 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 blah. Anyway, she's excited, but then he goes back into an old man and he starts yelling at the other dude, and he's like, this is a trick, and your gods screwed me, and they're screwing with me, and how can you give something like that to somebody and take it away from them? And he's like, well, there's a bigger price you have to pay if you want to have this eternal youth, and the price you have to pay is blood of someone you love,
yeah,
or at least someone, maybe not someone you love, but someone in your lineage or whatever. I guess.
So this is where I really did not like this episode.
This is where I stopped liking the episode. Like, I didn't love it up until this point, but then I was like, oh, he's gonna do in looking at the timestamp. I'm like, oh, if it's this early in the episode, she's dead.
And I just couldn't believe, because they went to that whole thing about them having an estranged relationship, and
Bullshit.
then he's talking about how much he loves her, and then all of a sudden turn on a dime, make me young. Oh yeah, I'll sacrifice my daughter, to
he stabs her, and he violently kills his daughter.
Yeah, it isn't like one stab, it's like like a serial killer stabbing or something. I mean, it's terrible.
Because he's like trying to. That's another thing too. The guy doesn't just go, all right, you have a choice. You either stay the way you are, or you sacrifice your daughter for her blood to keep you young forever. But no, he keeps goading him, and he keeps pushing him to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this poor girl is getting screwed twice.
And, to me, I mean, I would imagine there were some Native Americans that were very angry with this episode, because it didn't, I mean, I'm not meaning to say this in a bad way, but it probably didn't paint Native Americans in a good light. That one character didn't paint them in a very good light, because usually Native Americans aren't portrayed that way. As somebody that, oh yeah, go ahead, do it. You got to do it if you want to stay young.
You want to.
Exactly.
I also hate the title, Half as Old as Time, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, what is this?
Yeah,
Half as Old as Time. That's what it sounds like, the lyric from the song.
That's a weak title. That's a lazy title is what that is.
So he's. And then we're insulting everybody. Then we're insulting the Native American gods, and we're insulting the American gods. I'm like, well, okay, we're just insulting every god that you can think of in this episode. Oh, Christopher Todd, who directed this. What did you end up doing besides this? Good. It's the only thing you did good, because it was not a good episode.
Yeah, because this was a bad episode.
Hated it.
Definitely.
But yeah, he sacrifices her, and I mean, he gets his comeuppance. I mean, he gets to be young again, but then he mocks the other. He mocks the dude's god, and the god gets pissed and turns him into stone. So that other statue was the other guy that got turned to stone, who also probably did the same thing that he did.
Yeah.
So he's young forever. He's just now stone. So that's great.
Yeah. He's not going to get to enjoy that.
He's not a sly stone.
No. He is not.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll move on to, I think,
After the shocking and depressing thing of that episode, let's.
Yeah, TJ and I both agree, and I think Blissful did too. She said I didn't care for it, so uh, we'll move on to Museum Hearts, which again I think this is a kind of lazy title. I mean, I
I
understand.
mean, it's a spoiler too.
Yeah, a spoiler too, and this was not. I
Is it a play on words? Is it supposed to
didn't.
be a parody of something? I don't even know. Anyway,
I really didn't much care for this episode either. It wasn't as bad as Half as Old as Time, but it wasn't much better in my opinion. So take it away, TJ.
well, the money that they saved doing the Halloween store makeup on the Reaper, they made up for it in this one because this had some really good effects. I think that's what.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It's had some gushy effects. It was very. It reminded me of. Have you ever seen Dead Time Stories?
I actually have that Blu-ray, believe it or not,
Oh yeah.
with Scott Valentine on it.
Yep, I have the soundtrack.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I bought the vinyl and I had the digital download. I always like that song in the end credits. It's like the Werewolf's Lament.
Oh yeah.
That's it's got a couple of fun songs in it. It doesn't have a lot of music, but it has a couple of
Steve
songs.
looked at me rather oddly. He has several times over things I bought, but when I bought Dead Time Stories and it came in, I was like, "Look what I got, Steve." He's like, "Why? Why did you get that on Blu-ray?"
It's a cute movie. I like it.
I do too.
The Three Bears one is it's like a comedy, but it's got very good like.
It's sort of like the Willies movie for me. It just some kind of charm that it's got. But anyway,
I like Goldie's in the shower and the Three Bears come home because it's a play on the Three Bears story, and they're a mob family, the Three Bears, Bears.
Yeah.
And Junior Bears is big, tall, goofy guy, and Papa Bears just is like this. Hey, I'm gonna rob the store. I'm gonna get the mustache and the wife was a famous actress. What the hell was she in that? I can look that up. And anyway, so Goldilocks is in the shower, and the Three Bears come in, and the baby bear goes up and opens the. They all open the curtain, and she turns around and goes, "What were you expecting, perhaps, Janet Leigh?"
Exactly.
I just want to look her up, and and then we'll get right to we'll finish this damn. Melissa Leo played Mama Bear. Now, this is a kind of goofy, cheap horror movie from the 80s, and Melissa Leo has been an actress who's been in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Anyway, look up Melissa Leo. She's a good actress. Anyway, so so it's about this dude who brings. I'm going to shorten this. He brings two girls and has two girls separately to this place. He's having an affair with with both of them. He's not. This isn't Jack, Janet, and Chrissy. This is some dude, and so he's cheating on both of them. They get trapped in this museum, as in the title says, and there's this sort of this sarcophagus, I guess you'd say, coffin thing.
Yeah, and they call the creature inside of it. Don't they call it a bog woman?
Yeah, there's some. I think there's. How do they find out about her? Is there?
I forgot.
Is there do they read? Is there something they read or something? I can't remember now.
It may be, but I hate the main guy in this.
Well, he's supposed to be a
he's a
douche.
So.
Yeah, he's a dick. We've come back to they were dicks in the last season. This guy's also a dick.
Yeah.
He brings two girls to the same place to have sex with them, and he's having affairs with both of them. It's like, dude, really? And I guess he's okay looking, but I mean, jeez. So
he ain't good looking though.
What?
He ain't that good looking though.
Well, okay, you're a better judge than I am. So they find this body, and it's mummified, but it's got like a living heart,
Mm-hmm.
a bloody heart that they take out, and basically the girls get possessed by the bog lady, and um yeah, he's trying to like uh, he's a scum. Let's
Yeah,
just,
definitely. Yeah, he's scum.
and he's just trying to screw with these girls already. He's screwing them twice. And the bog lady isn't dead, by the way. This body, and she basically possesses the two girls.
Mm.
And I'm just gonna cut to the chase. The best part of it is the bog lady, and then the ending part where they need a heart to resurrect her to come back to full form with her powers and her looks and her young appearance and whatever. So they need his heart, which they rip out of his damn chest, give it to the bog woman, and she becomes young and beautiful. And the three of them go off. I guess they're going to become a witch's coven now, or they're going to become girlfriends. I don't know. One of those.
I did
They're
feel
going to go for margaritas and talk about how they hate men. Is what they're going to do.
I did feel like this was a woman power, a woman empowerment episode, because you have one guy who's a major dick, and then
Yeah.
you have the two live women, and then you have the bog woman who goes back to her youthful state when
Mm-hmm.
they rip a guy's heart out. So
Yeah.
he became a heartless dick at that point when they rip his heart out.
Well, it's like when she comes to life, the bog lady, he locks them in the cage where everything where the body was or whatever, and he locks the two girls in with the monster because he's afraid. And it's like, no, you're cheating on them with each other. You're also leaving them to die. It's like he's worse than the father in the last episode. Except for some reason this episode is better than that episode. But anyway,
Yeah, this episode is better
because it's spooky. It's like in a dark, the way it's lit, and it's a one room, so you can't really talk about cinematography and stuff like that. But I like the lighting's really good, and it's spooky and it's creepy, and so you get the feels as far as that goes. The story, whatever.
Well, they can't all be,
No.
grade A.
But great effects, the bloody heart beating, and the bog lady was really good.
Yep. Whoever Dick Smith had assigned to do these effects, they did a good job.
Yeah.
Because I think he was just like, wasn't he an advisor on this? He probably
Yeah,
was.
he's the only one in the opening credits who's mentioned as far as effects. It's like special effects supervisor.
He probably had 30 guys working for him or something. But like,
by that point, he's Dick Smith. He'd done tons of movies.
he's like,
I'm sure he had
y'all do the grunt work there.
He had all his houses and money and vacation spots, so he was good. He didn't care.
So,
Yeah.
we have officially reached the end of the first.
Before midnight, woo!
Yes, we did. More than 10 minutes before, so I think that's pretty good. Melissa Leo is in Streetwalking, Texas.
Okay, yeah.
I think Steve has that movie over there.
Is there rape in that one?
Who knows? Like, I'm surprised he doesn't have a whole wall of rape movies. I hope somebody doesn't come in on the tail of this or just watch the end of this live stream. They'll think, "Oh my God, what are they talking about? What kind of monster is this?" That they're
talking about rap. That's what I said. Rap movies.
Yeah, you didn't hear us right. We're talking about something else.
She's in Hide and Seek. Have you seen that movie with Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning?
Yeah, I've seen it, but it has been a super long time. I think I have it on DVD.
It's got a great cast. It's got Melissa Leo. I mean, Amy Irving's in it, and Femke Jensen. And
It was if I'm remembering correctly, it was a creepy movie.
yeah, it's a spoiler, and I don't want to say what happens at the end, but it's like a whoa, really?
Yeah,
And
that's kind of how I was too.
Elizabeth Shue, I love her, but this movie, I won't spoil what happens to Elizabeth Shue, but I think I just did. But anyway, and people do that. I love when people do that. They'll make a comment about something, and they'll make like and then they'll go, but I won't spoil it. But you just did.
Yeah, they'll make this big declaration or something that they're not going to spoil something, and then they already have.
Yeah, I'm gonna record a video for a TikTok where I'm gonna spoil. I'm gonna tell them ahead of time, but I'm gonna spoil Evil Dead Rise with some trivia from the. I told you about the thing about the elevator.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many people know that, so I'm gonna do a little video. I did part of it, but I want to do stuff in the woods, and I wanted to wait for it to get dark, but between what time it got dark and when the stream started wasn't enough. So I was like, oh, damn. But like, I don't know if I want to go out to my backyard woods at midnight. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, TJ. We might not see you again if you do.
I mean, that might be a better TikTok. I might get a
God.
lot of views. I'll be dead, but whatever.
Holy cow. But so anyway, I want to thank TJ first of all for being my co-host on this monsters episode discussion live stream.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You know you're welcome anytime, right?
Thanks, I appreciate it. My chat, Texas 71 Blissful. That's the only people that have been talking, so I don't know if anybody else is in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there have been varying amounts of people, but like they don't talk on a regular basis. Somebody might come in here and say one or two things, but
CK came in to say how terrible this stream was.
or how terrible mine.
Well, he didn't say, well, I mean, it was implied, but
So Blissful is giving us some applause. So
thank
you, Blissful. So I guess the only thing I really want to remind people about is because I lost my marbles, lost my mind, and forgot that I was supposed to do Paranormal Experiences Part 2 with Darren last night, and I did. And so we changed it.
Did Darren stay up and then you canceled?
No, he actually came into my stream, and I was like, oh, holy shit. I was like, I am so sorry, Darren. About the time I saw his name, I thought, oh, I was supposed to do that Paranormal Experiences Part 2 with him.
Oh.
And so we're going to do it tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, because Darren said, can we start a little bit earlier? And I said, yeah, because, the UK time compared with.
Yeah, before it's midnight already over there, and it's like 6 o'clock.
Exactly. Oh, thank you, Texas. You say great stream, fantastic. Thank you, 71. You say it was a fun stream. So what I've got that Paranormal Experiences coming up with Darren tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And it doesn't just have to be me and Darren. If anybody else has any paranormal experiences they want to share, want to come in live on the stream, they are more than welcome to. And then, usually I don't have anything on Fridays. But Saturday, the Prowler watch along.
Oh.
Starting at, I guess, 7 p.m. Eastern time, followed on Sunday, the 14th, with the Tom Hanks vehicle bachelor party. So we're going to have a horror movie on Saturday, comedy movie on Sunday. So I hope everybody wants to join in for that. And I hope I have some people live on the stream with me for those two watch alongs. TJ, you're welcome to come on either or both of those that you want.
I mean, Monique Gabrielle.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
That's a great part of that movie.
That's probably the best part of the movie for you guys, isn't it?
So I like what's a Deborah Harmon was not, is that her name who plays
Oh,
she was the mother in Just the Ten of Us.
yes.
She plays one of the friends in Wendy Jo Sperber's, and then I love her and that she's
Yeah, I
funny.
love her too. And
Nick the what?
and and here's the part, since you mentioned Miss Monique, I'll mention Adrian Zemed again. That
Oh,
is
yeah, he's in that too.
that's one hot scene where he's shirtless and singing with the
Why
band.
do girls like bad boys?
Well,
In the donkey scene,
oh yeah, and the suicidal friend Brad.
oh yeah.
I mean, suicide is not a funny thing,
Yeah.
but they make these scenes so funny where,
That'd be a great double feature. Um, Bachelor Party and Better Off Dead would be a good
oh yeah.
double feature.
I maybe need to do a watch along for Better Off Dead at some point. I love John Cusack too. So
E.G. Daly's in that.
yep.
I
And
mean, she doesn't act in it, but she's wearing
well,
a great dress.
yeah, exactly. So guys, before it is midnight, I'm gonna go on and get out of here and let TJ get some rest as well, or whatever he needs to do before he falls asleep on the stream. And I've got to check on all my dogs and make sure they haven't like just totally made a mess of the house. Reggie's been back here with me the last, I don't know, 45 minutes or so.
I saw him wagging back there a little while.
Yeah, he's actually laying down back there now. But anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now, and
Hey
TJ,
guys,
you have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
good night.
Bye, everybody.